Monsters are dangerous, and just now, kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king. Knowledge is power.
Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey.
Welcome to the Show Boys podcast. We're back with another newly coined Throwback Thursday episode where we will be discussing season 3 of Game of Thrones in our series, The Road to the House of Dragon, as we prepare for that series to come out. And Chad and I were having an offline conversation that rewatching Game of Thrones, we really hope House of Dragon lives up to how great Game of Thrones was, because definitely on the second and with Chad, 5th watches, whichever he's at, it just gets better and better. That's the biggest takeaway I have so far now deep into season 3.
It's funny because I probably am in about 5 watch throughs, but I still feel like I'm catching stuff that like totally missed, and arguably big things that I just totally missed. And I think it's because there's just so much going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm sitting here like, should I rewatch season 1?
Yeah.
And I'm on season 3 because I'm like, I feel like I could have got something more out of it.
Yeah.
But before we get going, shout out to our top tier patrons.
Shout out
Yusuf and Bim. Thank you so much. And as well as all of our other very pleasant and lovely patrons.
That's right.
Go sign up for Patreon. Helps us a lot, as Mike always says.
Amazing people.
Amazing. Fantastic. But yeah, we're going to do it a little different. We're definitely testing out a new format here with the season recap companion series. Don't even really know what to call it. I really like Mike's idea of, kind of coining them as kind of Throwback Thursdays, which is a fun format to go about. And it just so happens we go live on Thursdays. So we kind of cheat there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It worked out kind of perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We're sitting around trying to think of things. Idea, Mike. But yeah, so season 3 here, gonna open it up a little bit. We've been a little recappy, which is fine. We're getting a lot of foundation established, but as Mike has learned this season, bless his heart, he has survived like 10 years, a whole decade, not being spoiled by the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that.
Which is impressive just by itself, right? I mean, that is damn impressive.
I'm like the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Like, I literally just crawled out of like a pop culture bunker.
Well, I love that you knew of the term, the Red Wedding. Like, I don't think you can escape that. Yeah. But
I have a funny story about the Red Wedding.
Go. What is it?
So, like, I mean, obviously you guys have been saying a lot about it. One of our new neighborhood friends that lives like 2 houses down the road, like we have like this new nightly routine where basically like, well, they have a 3-year-old and an infant right around the same age as our youngest. So the girls have all been playing like pretty much all summer long so far, which summer's only been like 2 weeks, but pretty much like all day they're outside playing in the backyards. And then when I get off work, like Beck and I I'll walk over to their house and me and their dad will sit out and just watch them play, make sure no one like kills each other or like breaks things.
Naturally.
And he loves Game of Thrones, and I was telling him about the series and stuff we're doing. And he kept saying, "Oh, have you got to the Red Wedding yet?" So like everyone's like talking about this Red Wedding. So I'm like, I didn't look anything up or anything, but throughout the I mean, did Melisandre Melisandre, did she show up in season 1? I forget.
No,
Everyone
season
showed up
2.
in season 1 except for her, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Her,
So-
like the entire Stannis, like none of
All
them
his
showed up.
storyline. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So she shows up and she's the lady in red, right? So I'm like, okay, so this whole wedding
Oh, you're trying to piece it
red
together.
wedding thing I'm hearing about, it obviously has to do something with the lady in red because they keep saying
Right.
lady in red, red.
Yeah.
And she's like a pivotal person, you know,
She gets
making
around.
some weird stuff happen.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, there's gonna be some weird wedding with this lady.
She's gonna
So-
marry like 5 dudes.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I watch episode 9, and you know, after I like pick my jaw off the floor and very loosely get over my anger and hatred of the series now. I like took the dog downstairs, put him in his cage, was walking upstairs to go to bed, and I was like, the red wedding. I get it. It's like, have you ever seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? If you have, it probably has been like decades.
It's been a while.
But there's a scene in there where the one older kid who's like in high school or middle school, they're talking about like Frenching and then like French class. And they make a joke about someone taking French class to, you know, all that stuff. And at the very end of the movie, he's like, French class. I get it. I was
you.
like, that was totally me.
That was
I was
your
like,
moment.
oh, they're at a wedding and then it gets really red because, you know, everyone
Everyone.
dies.
Yeah.
Guys, rip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But,
wanted to make sure that you were like fully focused on at least the last 2 episodes of this, because you know I feel like the first watch through of this can come kind of abruptly, and I think it even comes abruptly even after rewatching it. But I wanted to make sure that you were at least focused for those last 2.
Yeah.
You didn't miss
I
like
was
any of
shocked.
that.
I was
Oh, yeah.
shocked when I saw it. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
wow. I don't even remember it being that tragic or that intense, and it was.
It's two things. It's super tragic and it's obnoxiously violent for a show that's already really violent. I mean, they open
Extra.
with stabbing her in the baby bump over,
Yeah,
you know, it's
exactly.
very, very violent. But I think I said this maybe on the episode before. There's 2 of the most shocking moments in TV and movies for me. It's finding out Darth Vader is Luke's father and the Red Wedding. Then nothing will ever probably come
Right.
close to those 2 things.
Hmm.
So yeah, that for me elevates this season quite a bit. But I think that we are now through the kind of like, okay, we got to get over this hump of learning everybody and learning all the locations. Now like I said, 4, 5, and 6, it's go time. You know what I mean?
I feel like the show's over. There's no point in watching anymore.
Yeah.
They just ended the main plot that they've been driving
That's
the
the
entire
thing. It's
3
not.
seasons.
Bro, like you should know by now when you watched Ned Stark get his head lopped off in the first season that be careful with the main plot lines of the show.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
that
not
one made sense, you know, because then it starts the whole plot
Yeah.
that they carry out through this point. And everything. I mean, you have your subplot, you know, lines that are going on, which are now not the subplot lines anymore.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, the whole focus of the show through you know, the end of season 1, all of season 2, all of season 3 is the war between the Starks and the Lannisters, right?
Yeah.
King's Landing and Winterfell, the North and the South. And then episode 9, they literally end the war.
Yeah.
Like, it's no contest. The war is over now.
Yeah. Well,
Tywin the goat, man.
yeah, he is for sure, man. And I really, as we get through the kind of breakdown here, I really enjoy throughout the season. The signs are all there that he's up to something. You know what I mean? Every scene, he's writing letters. He's doing stuff like not paying attention to the people that are talking to him. You can tell that he's working on something. So I think that's probably something you pick up second or third watch through, that you see kind of you know what's coming. So you're looking for the signs that it was coming. I don't know if you guys picked up any of that stuff.
I
You know-
clearly did not.
Well, you clearly did not.
Yeah.
The funny thing is when I was listening to the intro song and you hear Arya reeling off her names in this intro song, she says Walder Frey, and I'm like, huh, well, that's been playing for 2 episodes now.
Oh
And,
yeah, doesn't he? Yeah, that's
you know,
hilarious.
but that's the thing though, is there's so many names, there's so many characters, and like you're just not gonna sit, Mike, you're not gonna sit there and be like, why does Arya call out Walder Frey
Right.
in
Yeah.
her death list? Which
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so many little nods to it throughout the series, and I looked online to be like, look for like a breakdown of all the clues, all the hints that it was coming. Nothing does it justice, at least from my perspective. What like my biggest takeaways for like, wow, that's super just like foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Everything else is focused on like everyone has their own take on like what foreshadows it. And there just
Yeah.
isn't like a comprehensive list because I think there's just so many things that just foreshadow it, whether
Yeah.
it's the books, and a lot of it was focused on the books. Um, but then the show does some things differently. But the one thing that is more of like a funny thing is when the Hound is taking Arya and he's like, I'm taking you to your cousin's bloody wedding or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He
Oh
said
yeah.
that, and they're looking at the twins, they're on the hill, and he's just talking about the bloody wedding, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
ha, that's funny.
That is funny.
Because
Yeah,
it's gonna be very bloody.
I think that I could probably, if I really wanted to, write out a list of all the things that point to it, because I picked up on a lot throughout, like whether it be Roose Bolton and everything that he had going on in the background when you knew that he was working with the Starks, and then all of a sudden he's somehow working a deal out with Jaime to go back. Like there's a lot of little pieces that hint at it, but still, even knowing that, getting to that point is still just as shocking. I don't know why. I've seen it like 5 times, but it's still like the way the scene's set up. It's so well done, dude. It's one of my favorite scenes in all of television, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think they definitely inundate you with plot lines, right? Like that's part of the magic, is there's just so much going on, because if it wasn't a regular show that had like 2 plot lines, you would clearly be like, I don't get how Jamie is just kind of walking back to King's Landing. Like, what? That's weird.
Right.
Like he's just kind of with Bolton, and you kind of think about that on like when you know what's happening, you're like, wow, there's a lot of just open, like nonsensical storylines happening right here where it's like, what is really happening? But you don't catch it because there's so much going on. And you're so enthralled with this idea of Rob is the good guy who is going to win. He's like that very, he's the Ned Stark, the new Ned Stark, and you like him, you want him to win. You're like, oh, screw Walder Frey, like he married for love and got his wife, and it's just so much positivity in this show. You're like, I really like this.
He's the new Ned Stark and the most recent dead Stark.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think it does a really good job of focusing on all the stuff that's going wrong. Even though he is the good guy, there's a lot that's going wrong for him. There's a lot of mistakes he made, big mistakes that he made, including killing the Car Stark, which half the army dipped out on him. And that's really what leads him to going to the Freys. And you don't even in your mind think like, wait a second, this is a freaking awful. This dude's super weird. Cat states that he hates the Starks and everybody else, and I think he even says like, I don't care about any of you. So you don't even really register that, like, wait a second, maybe you should not go back there because you really screwed this dude over, and he's not really the kind of guy you maybe want to screw over. But I think that's what you focus on so much, is like all these mistakes that he's making and all the fluff around it, that you don't pick up on the little snippets in the background of what's coming down the pipeline.
Well, that's the crazy thing, is watching this, especially this season, there's a great amount of just psychology in how we at least used to watch things, right? And how we have expectations for shows. Because typically what a series does is it stacks all these odds against your hero or heroine, and they overcome it somehow.
Right. Yeah.
But this whole time, like you said, like we're watching it, and if you know what's happening, you're like, yeah, Rob, like everything is going bad for you. And like you are just on this straight trajectory of just not good. Like it's gonna end badly. Like logically, like, this doesn't end well for you. The only glimmers of hope are your wife's pregnant, and like the littlest, like, just the smallest notions that just like impact our psychology that we just want to like hang on to, and we just
Yep.
hang on to those little things when everything around him just screams like, yeah, this isn't going to work out for you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And the same thing with like Tywin. He has a huge kind of character pivot too, because he went from in season 2 where he's a very active person out in the world, like fighting the war, doing things. All of a sudden, he is just kind of chilling at King's Landing, writing letters.
Yeah.
Which is a huge pivot for his character in terms of like he's back in this comfort zone. He's not actively fighting.
Yeah, he doesn't have his
Rob.
armor on anymore. He's in his
Hand of the
chill
king.
off it. Yeah.
The king. He is the king.
He is the king. Yeah. I think I don't think there's any other way you can see it. Even though Joffrey probably doesn't see it that way, I think everybody else in the kingdoms thinks that he's the king.
Joffrey knows.
And the one scene that really propels that is in the throne room with Joffrey, where he kind of confronts him about, and he walks up the steps. I love Tywin, dude, and he gets better throughout the seasons. I think Charles Dance did an awesome job portraying this character for sure. I don't know how he is in the books, but
I love when he's like, he's like, oh, Joffrey, you seem tired. I think maybe you should go to bed.
Sends him to bed, bro. He sends him to bed.
Like, basically says, Cersei, please, escort the king to his chambers. He's tired.
Yeah. He literally sends the king to bed.
Like, Maester, why don't you just, give him a little something, help him fall asleep.
I'm not tired.
Yeah.
He's so angry, but he knows.
Dude,
he knows because
so many savage scenes with Tywin.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Like when he's talking to Cersei is basically like, it's I don't look down on you because you're a woman. It's just you're not as smart as you think you are.
Yeah.
You're kind of dumb.
And he has like a Nick's got some wine there. Does this show make you want to drink wine? Like, it really makes me want to drink wine, dude.
I drink and I know things.
Yeah. I have a shirt. I think I wore it for one of the episodes. I have a shirt that says that. Except I don't.
You don't drink though,
and I don't really know things. It's a quote.
I know nothing, and I don't drink.
I don't drink.
Jon Snow's the opposite of Tyrion.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Now we got the Red Wedding banter out of the way. I want to break the scene down a little bit more later.
Sure.
But where do you want to start?
Man, we can definitely start comfortably in episode 1, right? In episode 1, definitely just kind of like builds directly on the ending of season 2, right?
Yeah,
so it's like
picks up like minutes after, right?
poor frickin' Sam. Like,
yeah.
Now this is a little bit of a continuity issue that I have. Is just like Sam is just like surrounded by zombies and White Walkers, but then we get the first scene in season 3 and he's just like running from them. So old Sam here, slowest of the bunch, outruns all the White Walkers. So we definitely have slow zombies.
Yep.
That's one of those cases. So,
I always thought, to be honest with you, that there was going to be a reason for that. You know what I mean? Like there was a reason that the White Walker at the end of season 2 looks over and just ignores him.
There wasn't.
You know what I mean?
Just dramatic effect.
Just dramatic effect. Yeah. I just thought for a show like this, where there's so many strings throughout the story, that was going to come back in some capacity.
Do you think maybe he sensed the what do they call them, dragon's tears or the obsidian shards?
Yeah,
in him. And he's like, oh, that could totally nuke me. Maybe I should not mess with that guy.
Yeah,
then that doesn't really make sense because then they go for the baby later on,
right? And I do want to point out that like I just don't necessarily like the design of the White Walkers in these first couple of seasons. I don't know what it is. I think it might be because they don't have clothes on. They just have like a loincloth on. It just looks weird to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys agree with that, but they
just like a albino version of Thanos's chin.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so obviously we're basically following up on the end of season 2. But the big things in this episode, which is Valar Dalaris, we get a lot of Valyrian in this season. There's a lot of Valyrian speak. We learn kind of more about how that works. Daenerys has a great subversion over some characters in this season in terms of
one of the best.
she knows it. They
Yeah.
don't know she knows it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Valyrian in this season, but the big things in this episode that we can talk about is, Jon, he goes to Mance Raider, the king beyond the wall.
Yeah.
And then his brethren, they retreat because they were like, this is not good at all by any stretch of the means. And, I think they went north with 300. Is that the number? It's kind of sticking in my head. And they're down to like 30. I feel like very, very low count. King's Landing, Tyrion, he wants rewarded for his sacrifices
this is one.
and duties.
This is one of the roughest scenes of the show for me. Even though I love Tywin, just listening to this conversation, it's just freaking heart wrenching, dude. It really is.
Such a douche to Tyrion.
He is so awful to Tyrion throughout the entire season, but this scene specifically, and another one later on. It's just hard to
There's
listen
two of
to,
them,
man.
There's at least two of them.
Yeah.
Where it's like you want to love Tywin, but he is an absolute just prick when it comes to he's only doing what is best for the Lannister name.
Right.
Everything's so pragmatic, so binary to him. Like, I think it's the second scene where he's just like, when Tyrion calls him out, and there's a couple conversations where people are calling out Tywin. There's actually two of them specifically. One where Joffrey goes off on Tywin and just basically says he hit at Castle Rock or whatever, and like everyone's just like, and even
Dude,
Joffrey knows, like, I said some shit I should not have said. Like, my granddad is gonna murder me.
Dude, the acting in that scene is that the look that Cersei gives him right after he goes off like that. Dude, the acting in that scene is so not that the acting out in the rest of the show isn't incredible. It's just that look, dude. Without speaking a word, you can tell that she's like, holy shit, like, what are you doing, bro? Shut up.
Yeah, Lyanna Headley kills it all the time.
Absolutely.
But this one where Tyrion calls him out is like, when was a single time you acted, was it for the family or not for the family?
Not for the family.
Not for your own self-interest.
Yeah.
Not for your own self-interest.
Yeah. He's basically like, well, when I didn't take you out in the ocean and drown you when you were born. I would say that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, bro. That was the other one that I was talking about. I don't know. I think for me, the reason that I like Tywin so much is because there are so many people in the show that just seem evil for evil's sake. Like, Joffrey is just evil just to be evil. Like, he doesn't really have a goal. He's got power and he wants to use it. Tywin at least has Tywin at least has good reasons for doing the screwed up crap that he's doing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially when they talk about, I think it's episode 10 where he's talking to Tyrion and he's like, what's the difference between, or tell me why it's better to let 10,000 people die at war than to kill a couple at dinner. Right, like, it makes sense. It makes sense, even though we hate to watch that scene because Rob's our guy, and we've been with him for the first 3 seasons, and we've been behind him because of everything that happened with Ned. That makes sense, does it not? Like, of course, it makes more sense to kill a couple people at dinner to end the war versus going to all these battles and letting tens of thousands of people die.
Just not the honorable way.
Yeah, right. Didn't say it was honorable.
The slight variance, though, in that being completely true, is that they also slaughtered
everybody.
A lot of people in that entire affair, because there was just fighting. Because they got the Stark men all drunk, like it was a big party. They were safe under the like the guest of honor. Like, you can't just murder people that are your guests in your own house. That's just bad luck. But yeah, then they just go forth and they just kind of, that's back to the Red Wedding. We'll talk about this every single moment throughout the entire season. But when Bolton rolls up his sleeve and just shows his armor to Catelyn underneath his clothes, like, that was just fantastic, because like she was onto it and she was like, yeah, this ain't right. I love
that whole sequence. The song starts playing. She recognizes it. I don't know how nobody else recognizes this fucking Lannister song playing that the
They're having
band
a
is
party.
playing. I get that, but
they're
this is
having
a
a
pretty
party.
common song.
It's a common song in that it would be played all the time.
Yeah, but
So-
not at a wedding for the other side of the war. You know what I mean?
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. And that's
But
a dead
she picks
giveaway.
it up. And
She's smart.
there's just so many good dude, I could talk about the Red Wedding all day. Just from like Roose Bolton looking at Rob and his wife like from behind, like almost blurred with the depth of field. You can see him looking at them kissing and stuff. It's just so good. It's so good. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to go back to the Red Wedding so soon, but
No, I brought it up. I brought it up. But yeah, Tywin is just so pragmatic and brutal throughout this season, and that's the biggest shift in him. Where he was fighting a war, he was winning battles, or actually he was losing battles, but he was fighting a war. Whereas
Right.
now he's penning a war, and he's making moves as Hand of the King, which is a callback to when he was Hand of the King for the Mad King. And he's
Yep.
kind of really in his comfort zone right now. And this is where we see basically Tywin at his best.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree completely with that. This definitely is his. Not that he's a bad military commander by any stretch of the imagination. He just got kind of worked over by Rob in the first or second season, But this, with everything that he moves throughout this season, just by paper, pretty much, this is where he belongs. You know what I mean? He belongs here. He can do the military stuff, right? But we want him over here doing the papers and the moves and the behind the doors deals. That's where everything pans out throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
With the Tyrells and everything. So
the Tyrells. There are some savage senior citizens in this season.
dude. Yeah, Olenna is like one of my favorite characters in the show, to be honest with you.
The Tyrell Granny.
Yep.
She's great.
Yeah.
So good.
Absolutely love her.
Well, I mean, so Mike, for you, coming into this season, right? We're just on episode 1 here. Like, what house are you, right? Coming into this season, like, what's your camp?
I mean, I think it's obvious that now that I hate this show. It was with the Starks.
Okay. Do you know where that sits now, or is that still like open ended? You're like not committed.
Since there's like 1.5 Starks left, we can't count Sansa because she's now married off.
That's still 2.5 Starks.
I gotta say,
wait, are you counting Bran as half? Because he's
well, I guess that makes 2 then, because you put half of Bran and then half of Sansa, and then you have
Arya, and then also Rickon. You can't.
And then you have Rickon, the youngest.
No one cares about him. Let's be honest. No one cares about him.
The math of children.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, where do I sit now? I am all about Dany, and her
Camp Targaryen
siege that she is just laying on like everything in her path.
Yeah.
So awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I'm also, when it comes down to individual characters, though, I am 100% Team Jaime now.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Big fan of Jaime. I just wish we didn't have that little stain on his record there of incest. If we could scrub that off, I'd be totally Team Jaime.
And that's I remember you kind of texting us that about Jaime. Just how much his character changes and his character arc changes, especially once he kind of loses his hand. That really just like day and night. Like he just kind of really shifts as a person, as you probably should when you lose what he considered probably the most valuable part of him.
Yeah.
But I personally thought it would progress further. Jaime has so much more of a story arc to develop, Mike. So you get to look forward to that now that you're kind of Team Jaime there.
Nice.
But you will be challenged in the upcoming seasons in terms of the little stain and
yeah.
and other things too. But He definitely has one of the best story arcs in the show.
Absolutely.
And I was kind of let down how much I thought it progressed more in this season. It didn't really. It really just kind of sets the stage for that progression.
That
So
scene between him and Brienne in the tub, where he is basically like telling her
it's
how
crazy.
things really went down.
Crazy.
It's just like, I mean, he did the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, and some would say the honorable thing in trying to protect everyone, but like can't live it down.
Right.
And it's just like, why does nobody see that what he did was like a plus, a net positive for everyone?
Well, he doesn't tell that side of the tale,
Nope.
for his
That's
honor and
true,
for
that's
a
true,
number
that's
of
true.
reasons. Like he kept that in because she asked him, she's like, "Why don't you tell anyone that?" It's like, "What's the point?" Like,
Yeah.
Right.
and that's the great thing about, I guess, the writing of this story is that he tells that singular retelling of already a pretty notable event we've heard about many times over, and he tells it just once, and you're like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole new light on it.
Totally different.
You're
Yeah.
not anything anyone says you are. And at the same time, nail in the coffin, damns Ned Stark. And all of a sudden he magically paints Ned Stark in a negative light. He's like, what was I supposed to do? Tell my
Yeah.
story to honorable Ned Stark, where I
Right.
just stabbed, my king in the back. Like, that's instant, like, you're not good anymore to
Yeah.
Ned Stark. And you're like, wow, Ned Stark, like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does seem like such an odd, like, I get that that's the way things were back then, but it seems so odd because we got to remember that Ned was walking into that room presumably to take the throne and kill the king anyway. So it's so weird that he walks into the room and now the king's dead, his job's over, the war is won
Yeah.
essentially, but Jamie's the
Screw
bad guy.
you. You're so
Yeah, dude, it's so
terrible.
odd. It's so
Yeah.
odd. And I
Yes,
get it because Jamie was Kingsguard. So
Yeah.
he was literally supposed to protect the king. So he
Yeah,
did
yeah.
did
Big
betray his
act
king.
of
till
betrayal.
death.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
get-
that was the icing on the cake for me to totally shift on Jamie. But like before then, just seeing how he and
Brienne.
their name Brienne. That's right. There's so many names. I always get them confused. But when he and Brienne are like how he's kind of looking out for her best interest through that whole story arc of the season, that made me start to be like, okay, he's not like that scummy of a dude. Maybe it's just kind of like a facade he puts on.
Yeah.
And then when he put, tells the real story of what happened, well, presumably the real story, according to him, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can really get behind this guy. I just really wish you would stop banging your sister. Like,
Yeah.
please stop that. Please.
I mean, that's the crazy thing too about Jamie pre this season, right? In those elements, like season 1 and 2, he definitely owns the fact that he is the Kingslayer. He is a King's Guard. He secretly bangs his sister. He knows this, acknowledging, and like that's part of his scummy demeanor, right,
Right.
to everyone. And
Yeah.
he's also and he even says it, like he's of like 3 or 4 of the best swordsmen in the entire world.
Yeah.
More or less.
For Jamie wise, this is one of the biggest disappointments for his story arc for me is him getting his hand cut off, because we really never see him fight. We see a terribly choreographed fight between him and Ned like one of the worst choreographed fights maybe ever. And that's it. We see him and Brienne go at it while he's handcuffed. We never really see him at his full potential. And then he gets his hand lopped off, and then, like, okay.
Just know he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT, but we just never see it. And I wish we did. And there's other characters that are like that later on. But I just, Jamie, for me, I was like hoping we would maybe get a flashback or something at some point to see the kind of man behind the sword. But
Yeah, the only trick there is just like, I think the pedestal the story places him on is like he just isn't at that point where he even has to. Like, people
Right.
just avoid him because
Yeah.
you will die if you face Jamie. Like, it's just that thing. You have no opportunity to really see that because it's that elevated to the point where it's like no
His
one would even dare
reputation
challenge him.
precedes him.
Yeah, there's like 3
Yeah.
people that would even dare challenge him and have a chance of living. So you're not going to see it. In
Right.
practicality.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, jumping around, but that's fine. Separate thread here. We get introduced here to Littlefinger working his magic with Sansa, right? As creepy as that is, as layered and creepy as that is, Littlefinger having a lifelong crush on Catelyn Stark. He's like, your daughter, Catelyn, is really cute.
Yeah.
And looks just like you.
Yeah.
And is in a very tormented place.
Very.
For poor
Yeah.
old Sansa.
And I got to be honest with you. I did not realize she's supposed to be 14 years old in this season. Like, she even says it. Didn't even register until watching this season again that she says she's 14 years old. I was like, holy crap, dude.
You don't think about it because you're like, all right, she's probably like upper teens.
Right.
But then Tyrion just outright asks her on the wedding night. He's like, how old are you? Fact check. And she's like 14. I'm like, ooh.
It just makes all of the scenes of her basically like make my skin crawl.
Oh yeah,
like what they did this season. I'm just like, please stop.
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah.
And not to jump forward on that, but on their wedding night, in that whole scene, they build that up to where you're like, and that's a great thing about this show is they build your expectation and be like, oh, they're about to do something really scummy. Then they're going to show Tyrion banging a 14-year-old, and they're like, are they really going to go there? No, they don't go there. Thank God.
Right.
Like they alleviate us of that.
Yeah, we already had the fetus stabbing in episode 9. We can spare them, some underage banging in episode 10.
that's no, I mean that's the expectation that they divert there, because you're in episode 8, they're like, there's this wedding, she's 14, like Tyrion, like he's gonna drunkenly just like do it because he has to, because Tywin said so, and you're like, this is just a weird situation. They spare us of that just to set us up for episode 9.
Episode 9, yeah, right. Yeah, dude.
And that's the psychology of it. Like they're toying with you the whole time, and they're just making you feel like things will be okay.
It's brilliant.
Man,
it's brilliant.
I guess I'm starting to be more House Lannister. Like now, because like I love Tyrion. He's a great guy. Stand-up guy. Tywin in a weird way, except to Tyrion, is a decent dude, just looking out for the best.
Yeah.
Jaime, I like Jaime. I hate Cersei though, and I really hate Joffrey. Like, if someone could just Ned Stark those two, I'd be fine. I'd be totally House
Cersei
Lannister.
is bae, bro.
Dude.
Yeah, when you asked that, because I think you asked us all like season 1, maybe who we would side with, and I said the Starks. But the more I thought about it, just practicality wise,
I said the Lannisters.
You said
Mike
the Lannisters.
Called me like some incest,
a monster.
freak.
Yeah.
He instantly just damned me.
I don't know what what your hometown was like growing up, but
Yeah.
Hometown,
frowned upon.
Cousins, like that's where it went up.
But just practicality wise, like the Lannisters are in King's Landing. It's beautiful in King's Landing. There's scummy parts of it, but I hate the North. Like, even watching scenes in the North, it just makes me like, go ahead. Sorry.
Scummy King's Landing. The scummy parts. The descriptions we get with Sir Davos. About like Flea Bottom, and just the fact that the shit from the castle flows into this street, and like that's what your like your main street is when you walk out of your door. Like, I never picked up on that. Maybe I didn't. I just forgot about it. But when they were talking about that, I was like, man, like medieval times sucked, because
dude.
They dumped their shit like
in
their chamber pots out the second floor window into the street.
Yep. And it rolls right down to Flea Bottom. Yeah, I love it.
We can't agree that like life is net better today. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and they say it rolls downhill. There's a reason why.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
I was just going on a really stupid tangent about how I hate the winter and I would want to be in the South and not the North. That's all I was going. That's all I was saying. So I'd probably side with the Lannisters just to be in the warm weather.
So basically, you're what you're saying is your answers in season 1 weren't as forward thinking as mine.
No, they definitely weren't. And then especially after this season, knowing what the Lannisters just did, like I'm going with the Lannisters because I'm not going to end up like those dudes. You know what I mean? I'm going this way.
I don't know. I still really like the Night's Watch, even though they're kind of getting their butts handed to them. I could go hang out with Jon Snow.
Jon
And
Snow's the boy.
Sam's my dude.
Sam?
What a guy.
Yeah. Frodo and Sam. You can't ever hate on Frodo and Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, wrong show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get a lot of Sansa in this season. And it's not necessarily, this is the slight turn in Sansa's character arc.
Yeah.
It's kind of like she's just like flatlining as a character. Like she's so bland, so boring, so unintrigued. It's really just whoever she's interacting with is the only time like any color gets brought into this character. Mike, that's purposeful.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it does a great job showing someone suffering from straight up mental and psychological abuse. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
she's very much like
in prison.
Stockholm syndrome to like, just the will to live drained out of her. So I mean, I get it, and I like that. I think she does. I don't even remember actress's name, but she does a great job portraying someone who's just obliterated by abuse all day long.
Dude, she's
for
like
so long.
It's like the first 3 seasons of the show are just her punishment. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Like her over and over things are happening to this poor chick. And
I guess now there's 3 people that I just like feel so sorry for. Like every time they're on screen, Sansa,
Who do you?
Theon, and Tyrion. Like I was just telling my neighbor this today before we came down here. Like I started out really liking Theon, then I really hated Theon, and now I really like feel bad for Theon.
Yeah, you're gonna go. I gotta be honest. You'll go through that with quite a few different characters, and certainly, and I'm sure you probably wouldn't have thought that you would start to like Jamie, right? And you said that that's translated.
Right,
So
yeah.
the show does a great job of making you love the characters that you hate and hate the characters that you thought you loved. But I don't ever really feel that for Theon for whatever reason. Like after what he tried to do in season, like he's dead to me. Like do whatever you want to him, man.
Well, that's fine. Just actually kill him though.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
This like 5 episode long torture scene is just
Right.
like, I feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Theon torture, those were only flashbacks in the book, and that was like one of the biggest issues with this season was like how much that was just a focal point that people kind of took issue with, and kind of citing the Vanity Fair article for this season, and that's kind of like one of the big pivots on this season is that between the Red Wedding, and a number of other things, this was when viewership just kind of skyrocketed because the day after the Red Wedding, everyone was talking about it. And then the number 1 downloaded episode on like iTunes or whatever was the first episode of Game of Thrones. So everyone didn't want to be left out of the conversation. So everyone started at this point, except Mike.
Except me.
Except Mike.
I mean, honestly, I
bro.
That makes sense because I probably went through a year or 2 of people trying to talk me into watching the show, and I just wanted no part of it. And then I started right as season 5 was airing, or maybe it was season 5. So the timing makes perfect sense there. Everybody watched the Red Wedding, tried to convince me for 2 years or a year to watch it while season 4 was airing, and then it makes perfect sense. It's funny. Yeah,
and in some sense, I mean, this, like you and I have been trying to tell Mike, is like this is when the series starts.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Everything right now has been like prologue.
Yep. Yep.
Welcome, Mike.
Yeah.
To the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
We joked in our text or whatever that this entire episode is just going to be you guys convincing me to
Convincing
continue
you to
watch.
continue.
Dude,
'Cause I'm done.
yes.
I hate it.
There's
I hate
so
this
many things
show.
to hang on for, Mike.
Yeah, I assure you, you're gonna want to hang on. I assure you.
Dude, it doesn't.
Dude,
it
it
ends,
gets
if it makes you feel better, it ends for me at the end of season 6. Like
Yeah.
that's the proper ending to the show. Season 6 at the 20-minute mark, done. Like there we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean,
ending.
I agree with you
Perfect
to a
ending.
point that the first 20 minutes is great, but there's a lot of good stuff that follows it as well. A lot of good stuff that follows it. So yeah, you're not quitting. There's no talking you into it. It's just not happening.
I'm
So,
not allowed to. I'm contractually
Yeah.
obliged
tied to watch it. Yeah.
finish
Me and
it.
Chatter are just gonna sit here and talk about Game of Thrones for 4 hours. That's
Yeah.
what would happen. If it wasn't for Michael's bedtime at midnight.
Yeah.
You shush. But for real, I do get sleepy. I'm a sleepy boy.
Yeah. And then episode 1, we'll start going faster just because like we're talking a lot of forward stuff. Danny, this is actually like one of my favorite portions of Danny's entire story arc in the whole series is her conquest of Slaver's Bay.
Yeah.
And the Slaver's Bay is essentially like 2 or 3 free cities, which are free cities are part of the old Valyrian Empire, which kind of spanned the globe more or less. But when the Valyrian Empire just catastrophically, kind of like an Atlantis story, got crushed, these became free cities because they were very great cities and can kind of stand on their own.
Yeah.
And you can really think of these as like cities of the Aegean, so like Troy in the Greek
Yeah. That's how I do.
states.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of see it. Troy being kind of on the Turkey, like very far east sense of things. So, but the fact that Danny enters Slaver's Bay, 3 dragons, her loyal servants, and she's out here to make a name for herself. After kind of getting away from the weirdness of the very, 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 very far east city where she got the warlocks, Tower of the Undying, a lot of weird stuff in there. Note on the Tower of the Undying, there is a flash in that sequence where there is a feast with a wolf's head, blood everywhere, that basically foreshadows the Red Wedding, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a sequence in there of her visions and like where she's like moving through. There is a sequence that references the Red Wedding directly with a wolf's head, lots of dead people. There's like a number
holy
of clues in
crap.
there that kind of just say Red Wedding.
Wow.
And that's part of, you and I, we discussed her one vision through the throne room.
Throne
right?
room. Yeah.
So that was another one. So obviously foreshadowing something a little sooner.
Wow.
That's another kind of very, very early. That's a season 2 call forward to the
Right.
Red Wedding.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Interesting. Totally missed it. All 5
Yeah.
times.
I-
All 5 times. Totally missed it.
I have to watch it a third time just because I didn't know. I read that and I was like, I didn't even know. At
Wow.
all.
That's super interesting, dude. Yeah, that's it. Dude, it's so weird how that happens because, like, I should know this, and I do know a lot of it word for word, but there's obviously still stuff that I don't know, which is cool.
Yeah.
Definitely makes rewatching it much easier, and it's cool now because I have not rewatched it since season 8 has aired. This is my first time rewatching it since then, so piecing that all together is very fun. You know what I mean? We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So we'll peel into episode 2 here, and this is Dark Wings, Dark Worlds, and we get a lot of Sansa, Shay, Tyrion stuff going on here, and we get there's a decent bit of King's Landing in here. Jaime is kind of working through his stuff and progressing that. We get some Brienne and Jaime. This is kind of that early kind of, they're traveling. This is kind of the first time I think we see them traveling since the end of season 2. And then we get Arya running into the Brotherhood of Without Banners. So
yes,
this is kind of
Finally
like
meet the Brotherhood.
yeah. So where the first episode kind of hits like all these like really big story arcs. Episode 2 here kind of hits like some smaller ones that are smoldering at this point, right? Because this is the very early inklings of like Mike's stuff with Jamie. We get what I greatly underappreciated on the first watch, and I told this to Chad, is I paid so much more attention to the Brotherhood Without Banners, Arya, and like the Red Lady, all the weird stuff that was going on throughout this season with that in this watch.
Yeah.
Because I remember on my first watch, I was like, what? I was like, I don't really know what's happening here. Like, I didn't even put together that like they are all part of the same group. They follow the same god,
religion.
The Brotherhood Without Banners, the Red Lady. So this entire watch, I took so much more of that out, and I think that was because I wasn't focused on Rob because I knew how that ends.
Right. Yeah.
There's no point.
Yeah,
we know what happens. Yeah.
So I was sitting here, and especially as I was watching, I was like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to these things and kind of see what's going on because I know kind of where Arya goes. I know that they come in the fold later, and so that was maybe one of the biggest revelations in this season. Is just kind of the otherwise boring Stannis Brotherhood Without Banners, like all that is just so obscure in this season. And Mike, I totally get it. Like if that's just like all kind of like weird and opaque for you, because my first watch, it was just like weird and dull. Did you have like a similar experience?
No, I like all of the side like subplots that are happening, the secondary and tertiary story arcs. I really love Arya's progression throughout the season. Like she, by the last episode or whatever episode, I guess it would be episode 9 it was the last episode because her and the Hound escape the Red Wedding. They like ride past the little camp of the 4 people talking about the Red Wedding, and she just comes up and shanks the dude.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I see you over there.
Next time, tell me when you're going to do something.
Yeah, exactly. I love their now growing like bond where basically like he's her caretaker and she hates it because he murdered her friend or whatever. But like that's another character that I'm like, I kind of like the Hound. Like he's not that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like, and she's just a little mercenary over there. Like, she's got her death list. She's got the man without a face, she's buddies with, and now she's just, shanking people with the Hound.
Dude, I didn't realize how many times she shanks that dude like 7 times very rapidly.
That was a straight up prison shanking.
Her first one too. She was like first kill, and she's like, "Yep, no big deal." She says, well. He says, "Is that the first man you killed?" And she said, "First man," because she did kill that kid at the beginning. Well, presumably killed the kid in season 1 when she was escaping, stabbed him in the gut or whatever.
Oh yeah.
When she goes to get Needle out of the cart, she stabs the dude and then bolts.
She's not estranged to violence.
No, right.
Like that.
Yeah. But I do want to touch on the Brotherhood of Banners because I had kind of a similar experience as Nick, where I didn't really like this the first time that I saw it. I found it kind of boring, I'm going to be honest. But now I don't know if it's because I've been playing more JRPGs lately, but they're like a JRPG party. You know what I mean? They have like you have their healer, you have the healer, you have the pyromancer, you have the archer,
resurrect the dead player.
Yeah, dude, that's
your tank right there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so cool, dude. It's very RPG to me. The way he lights his sword, the way they heal.
That was awesome.
I'm pretty sure
his hand and then he's like,
so cool, dude. I could watch that scene over and over. I'm pretty sure also that when they first encounter the trio, Arya, Hot Pie, and Gendry, that they're using magic to see them because they're hiding. And he's like the fat one behind the tree or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're hiding. So I think they're using. I just found them very intriguing this time around, especially.
Hot Pies.
Yeah. Thoros Amir, man, I think he's a freaking great character. I love him. He's just like they give me like almost a Robin Hood vibe.
Yeah.
Don't they give you like a Robin Hood vibe?
So is that the character you just named? Is that the one that resurrects the dude?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's cool.
And then Beric Dondarrion, who's the guy with the eye patch, I want to point out because I totally missed this, and I think a lot of people miss this. This dude's in the first season. When Ned is on the throne, I think Robert's on his hunt right before he dies. He sends somebody to go find the mountain. That's the dude he sends to go find the mountain.
That's right.
And totally missed that the first couple times I watched it. But when we catch back up to him here and he's going over the people that have killed him, the first one is the mountain.
Yeah.
So we can kind of piece together that the mountain killed him when
that went.
Yeah, right.
Not very good.
Yeah. So I just thought that was so cool. Like the smallest little scene in season 1 that in a blink of an eye you could have missed it. And now here in season 2 we're hearing what happened, how that went, and why he never came back to the capital, and why he kind of followed this the Red God or whatever they call it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole misdirection with kind of like the Starks and the Boltons, because like the Lannisters, the Mountain, were like raiding north because they sent them. And like that's just like I think that's like a huge point of like confusion, because like, are they attacking Winterfell? Are they just raiding? Like Bran thinks that's who's attacking or that's like settlement outside of Winterfell. But here's the Brotherhood Without Banners, like they were hunting the Mountain. So there's just like all this like side part in the war where there's these characters on the chessboard moving about. We weren't necessarily shown it explicitly, but we hear about it tertiary in later scenes.
Yeah.
And here's this guy that's already got murked by the Mountain. And to this point, we haven't really seen much of the Mountain outside of his joust, right? And this is a huge buildup that we get from the Hound, right, about his brother. And you know, that's the other like great thing in here, because like he just had like, here's the Hound, like he is just a dog by all means of the word, and fire just ain't his thing. Like he left the Battle of Blackwater Bay because of the whole like fire and this like the atrocity. He's like, fuck the king, like this is bullshit. And you know, the whole fire thing, he's like fighting this guy and he just, you know, like you guys said, he lights the sword. He's like, shit. And like Arya calls him out on it too. He's like, I saw your face, like you're basically a little bitch, and you know, you're scared of fire. And that, you know, that's part of their great dynamic too, is because like he even says it. He's like, if you stop trying to kill me for like 5 minutes, we can actually like do something and get something.
Right. Yeah.
Because
I think she's under the impression that he is, at least at that point, before he explains that he's trying to take her to her mother and brother at the Twins. She thinks that he like kidnapped her, so she's trying to kill him to get away from him. You know,
he's like, "I'll give you one try."
Yeah, I love that scene. I love that scene with the rock.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That would still hurt, even if she didn't kill me.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I want to get smashed with her.
Yeah. So I think, you know, we'll pause right there. Let's raid Ugly Kid Joe Cross.
Yo, okay.
I believe he's streaming over there on Twitch. Our favorite game. Chad, you should play this game.
I don't want to cover his lovely face.
Oh, there he is. It's like he's here.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I have it muted. Let's see what's going on. I believe he and
he better be watching us on another screen.
I feel like I need to.
He's not.
I'm cold. You are live on the podcast, brother. Don't suck.
Shout out.
Big old resurgence in the Showboys Valheim server.
Yeah, I see that.
The biggest.
So, I got to be honest. If I could pull myself out of this freaking Dragon Quest hole that I'm in, which probably isn't going to happen.
Dragon Quest after today, you were just lighting that up, and then I actually Googled it for the first time after like the 11th time. You were like, "Hey, Dragon Quest 11 is like the greatest game of all time," and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to Google this game finally."
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this
I
might
don't-
be a thing.
Dude, it's really good, man. I'm not gonna lie. It is yeah, like I said, I think it's a top 5 game for me at this point, and I'm not even done. I'm 60 hours into it, and I probably still have another 15, 20 hours maybe.
Question:
Okay.
Is it because it's going so well with Game of Thrones?
This is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, are you
Does
saying
it
is
go
that
well with
adding?
Game of Thrones?
It
Does
goes.
it add?
Friend.
So
Couldn't do this.
so there are a couple ways I like to do
I have
the
six flaming hot
games
beans in my mouth right
with
now.
Game of Thrones, and it's either.
Ready
What did he
for
just say?
He said he has
Follow and
6
try and
flaming
sound
hot beans in his mouth right now.
Follow and
I'm
sit back
sorry.
to his house so I can go to bed because that's what I want to do with my life.
So did he just say he wants to go to bed, but he's
I
stuck
don't know
playing
where his house
Valheim?
is.
'Cause
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
the
but I don't know
three.
if he's following Civ to Civ's house so they can go to bed in the
Oh,
game.
that kind of
To
bed.
progress night or whatever they
Well,
do. I
sis.
don't judge, you know.
Nah,
Hey,
in real life, like I'm
um,
always trying to go to bed, but I'm sitting here playing Valheim. That's my
Yeah.
problem. Like I'm trying to go to actual bed, but this game just sucks you in.
Where's your house? Gotta go.
yeah, it really does.
Ooh, there's a Bidoof in the chat, everybody.
Bidoof. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Ugly Kid Joe Cross, his streams, they're always a fun time.
Why am I live on the
Um,
podcast?
And he's very confused why he's live on the podcast. We did this once with BioCiv and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check out his streams. They're great. He just recently beat Elden Ring. Now he's getting sucked into the world of Valheim after like
Now you're live on the podcast.
no, we have some weird live on the podcast inception happening right now. But I gotta say,
podcast night. That's
you
what
know,
happens with the weird work schedule.
he like vehemently like
Where's his house?
tried
Did I pass
to
his house?
say he would never play this game. And then just like BioCiv, who said, "Oh, I
am not
probably
sure
would
at
hate
all.
that game. It's not my game."
Or
They're obsessed.
They
Yeah.
can't get off.
They cannot stop. And that's just the magic of Valheim, you know?
oh man, that boy.
I think
I had his stream up, you know, waiting for this little raid. And I was, you know, he was walking around his little fort that he's built so far. And I don't know if he's
Oh,
no.
he's got smacked.
Big old troll, man.
the brute. Just
Mile
one
away. I
shots
gotta
him.
do
Oh,
That'll probably be a
Gross.
good time to pop him off there. But yeah, he's got a nice little setup
sucks.
coming along.
No,
should check
I
it out.
think last comment about Valheim. I like how we're witnessing them put in like the exorbitant amount of hours you need to put into like grasp that game, and then we just pop on and we do like some really extraordinary things in like a couple hours where they spend all day playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the middle of building Nick's building an epic Dunholm fortress castle thing. And he's constructing me a bridge finally. And I just like cleared half an island of resources in like 2 hours last night. That's just, you know, what we do.
And they're just trying to get their pants put on, like they're a mess.
They're like, bro, do you know you could have a wooden club as a weapon, guys?
It's great.
And meanwhile, I'm over here enslaving trolls to do all my dirty work farming. Anyways, back to Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Or
Is that
we
what we're
could just
talking about?
stop and go play Valheim. It's up
No.
to you guys.
No, that can't happen. Though my builds in Valheim will be inspired by Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones,
I'm about to build
nice.
the twins.
Oh yeah.
And miniature twins. But something that has been introduced that we haven't touched on that is very important is, if we remember at the end of season 2, the Tyrells have entered the fray. No
Yeah.
pun intended. Damn the phrase.
The Walder.
Walder Frey. So we get the Tyrells. They have kind of infested King's Landing. So this was the group once kind of alleged to
Renly.
old
Renly.
old Renly Baratheon. So obviously he had a foul ending in season 2.
Yes.
So here Tywin
The old Flower Knight.
Tywin got with them, and they saved the day, right, in King's Landing. And
Blackwater, yeah.
this is the biggest issue that Tyrion has an issue with, is because like, I made it possible for you guys to even get here in time and
Right.
save the day, and I
Yeah.
get no credit. And this is his biggest stint with his father throughout the season. Is like, dude, like, what the
So
hell?
do you think when he has that speech with Tywin where he's asking for Casterly Rock and his right as his heir, do you think he actually wants Casterly Rock, or he just wants some love from his
He-
father? Because he has the chance to leave King's Landing multiple times, and he says, I belong here. I don't want to leave. So
he's grasping at straws for
Yeah,
like
that's-
some
yeah.
sort of recognition. Like, he's like, Jamie can't have it, Cersei can't have it. Like, dude, I'm it, and I just
Yeah.
did something great. Like, why can't I have it? So like, it's this constant battle for the series, let's just say, with his father, in terms of, why am I not good enough? And this
Right.
is like the biggest part of this season, and all of their interactions is like, why am I not good enough?
Yeah.
And he stated, like, I'm good at the game, I like the game, like, Dad, I'm basically doing the same thing you are, on a different like scale level,
On a
connections,
different level.
Yeah.
See what you're doing there.
making lateral jokes. And he's like, if I had like a golden whatever for every time,
Yeah.
I'd be just as rich as I am. So yeah, so I definitely think that's, just him grasping at a
Yeah,
fight
that's
with
how I
his
took it
dad
too,
in terms
yeah.
of like, why am I the worth? Because season 1, like, he was just like the Lord of tits and wine, like that was
Right.
the extent of it.
Yeah.
But now now he's really exercising that he knows things, he understands that he knows how to play this game, like.
Mm.
And this is also the fun thing about him and Cersei's conversations. And I love following the Lannister conversations that
Oh,
they
yeah.
have, because they're so dynamic. Because in one conversation they will just be completely at odds,
Passive
then
aggressively threatening each other. Yeah.
like with murder, like, I will
Yeah.
literally like bury you, like I
Yeah.
will end your life. And then the next time they meet, it starts that way, and then they kind of end with this mutual understanding that, like, we are Lannisters, like, we do what we do, we're good at it. Daps, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just like the most intriguing thing about
Man.
the Lannisters to me, is just like how they interrelate to each other. Because like Tywin, like, he went from leveling with Tyrion and saying like, hey, you're hand of the king, like, go watch your sister and your nephew and don't
Yeah.
burn the place down. And then he goes from saying like, you know what, I would have drowned you in the sea.
Yeah,
But
right,
unfortunately,
right.
your last name is Lannister, so I like you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how loyal he is to the name.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess I'll let you live.
Yeah. Because you're a Lannister.
I have no choice.
Yeah.
And even Cersei in this season, and this ties into the Tyrells, is she's struggling with her position. Right. She's Queen Regent. She is Mother of the King, which is, I feel like in another series, I feel like this also came up, but this came up in Last Kingdom, Mike. But being Mother of the King, or even like the ex queen, if you will, Queen Regent, it puts you in a weird position, because you were once queen, you had a lot of power, and then all of a sudden you're not technically queen, but you are still queen, question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's the mother of the king, and she's trying to figure out, and knowing the whole series and the arc, you can definitely see how she doesn't do anything really decisive this season,
Right.
but she's trying to figure out and come back from her like very low point of like, I'm going to kill myself and my son because the city's under siege. And then, oh, well, look, my dad rides in. Like, that was almost a very bad situation, and it was all okay.
Yeah.
And it's just her kind of reveling from that end of season 2.
Yeah.
Like, what am I even doing? Like,
Right.
I was about to
Yeah.
kill myself because I thought we were going to die and I was being helpless. And she's coming into the aspect that she's like, I am not helpless. I am very, very powerful. But she has to still weave her way around her father, who's trying to marry her off to some flower boy.
Yeah, man. I love that scene because she is such a bitch to Tyrion when Tywin is explaining that he's going to marry Sansa, and she's like being smirky about it, and then he switches it and says, "You're going to marry Loras Tyrell," and then
You're going to do your duty too as a woman.
Please don't make me father, please. It's just like I
Yeah.
love that scene, dude. It's so great.
I also love how like she tries so hard to basically be Tywin and do what Tywin does, but like can't.
Yeah.
Tywin just rolls up and he's like, "No, this is how it's gonna go."
Amen.
Yeah. That's really what it is. And she can't, and she says it multiple times. I think during the speech of Blackwater, she like doesn't understand why Jaime was taught to fight with swords and wear armor and yada yada, and she was taught to knit and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think she's struggling a lot in this season because she has a younger, arguably more beautiful queen coming in to take her place, essentially.
Yep.
And she's worried about that. She's worried about the Tyrells. Now she's marrying.
Sisters.
Let's be, yeah. Oh man. Yeah. What'd she say?
You say that again to me.
Say it again.
I will murder you.
Yeah. And I also really like her and Loras's interaction, like on the patio, where she's like, he's like, my father once said, and she's like, nobody cares what your father once said. Then just walks away.
Yeah,
like, it's so good,
that was so perfect.
He's so tolerable for everything too. Like you can tell he's just a dude that's just like going with emotions.
Whatever.
Grandma said she'd whoop my ass if I
Yeah.
said
Right.
anything
Yeah,
bad.
we don't mess with Granny, dude. No, I love Cersei and the fact that she so far has said everything that like anyone who's ever watched a show or movie like in their lives, like they hear a dialogue and then they mutter under their breath, "Yeah, no one cares about what your dad said." And she's just literally like, "Yeah, no one cares what your dad said," and walked away, which is exactly what I always like dream of doing myself because I don't care what your dad said. But like she's had several of those moments in the series so far where she's like actually said and done exactly what I was thinking in my mind, which was great.
Yeah. I do want to, since we're on the Tyrells, I do want to talk about the grandma because I love this dude. I absolutely love this character and her first scene in the show. You can tell she's just a badass where she's like, "Do you mean to starve us all day? Or are you going to bring the food?" And then she's like, "Bring me some cheese." And he's like, "The cheese will be served after dinner." She's like, "The cheese will be served when I want it. And I want it served now." I'm like, dude, I love this lady. First scene, I already love her.
Yeah.
But yeah, just her interactions with everybody throughout the season, whether it be Tywin, everybody that she interacts with, I just find myself glued to the screen when she's on screen. I love every second of it. I didn't know if you guys felt the same way about her.
Oh yeah.
Another nod to Tywin is OG Granny here, just like laying waste to people. But then like she runs into Tywin, she's like, finally, like a man that lives up to his like expectations in his name. Like,
yeah.
He didn't mess around. Like he's like, listen, Granny, like
this is what
you're
we're
not gonna school me like all these kids.
Yep.
I'm Grandpa. You're Granny. Like
they should just tie the knot. Let's
right.
Tywin,
right.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah, you're marrying everybody else off.
Yeah. I don't think they would get along very well.
It would make for some really good scenes, though.
That's the that would be the Game of Thrones sitcom spinoff.
Yeah.
The Odd Couple or something. Game of Thrones edition.
Yeah, and I mean that was a great candid conversation about their families because they were like sparring. They were mentally sparring because he was like, "Oh, your grandson, like he's not exactly
what we call normal in these
normal parts. How do you describe his affliction?
His affliction, yeah.
His affliction. And then she's like, well, I didn't particularly think that incest was like either.
Love it, dude.
And like they are just like tossing out, but they're
they're both like, well, yeah, you got a point there,
right? yeah, they're like point for point, like they're not arguing, like saying each other's wrong, but they're basically saying like, "Hey, I'm right here, I'm right there. Who's the most right in this
Right.
situation?" And then he's just like, "Well, I can make the order right now and make your fancy little flower son or flower grandson just be Kingsguard, and that kind of just settles the matter, doesn't it?" She's like,
Yep.
Good play,
Yeah.
old man."
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Love her scenes.
her scenes are great. I think it was really good. The scene with her and Sansa, I liked a lot. Because Marjorie, Marjorie's doing a lot of fun things in this season where, she's trying to be like, "Hey Cersei, we're gonna be sisters once we're married and blah blah blah, and we should be friends."
Yeah.
And Cersei's like, "Fuck off." But she's befriending Sansa, she's making her alliances and just kind of weaving her craft. But I love Cersei's take on this, where she's like, she dresses like a harlot. She's basically just like a whore. Marjorie even alludes to the fact that, she's not pure, because she has that conversation with Sansa, and Sansa's like, "Well, how do you know?" She's like, "Oh, I've heard things." So like, there's just all this weird inference that Marjorie is just not. She plays like she's the good girl, but she's not.
Right.
Cersei's onto her, and at the same time, she's just trying to really kind of establish herself as like the new to be queen, right?
Yeah.
I
I like how she kind of like upstages Joffrey too by like stopping at the orphanage and like
Yeah.
winning over the love of the people, because from what we see, King's
They hate
Landing
him.
kind of
Yeah.
despise
Yeah.
Joffrey. So I like that that aspect of her. And yeah, she's a very shady character. Like in a lot of scenes, I'm like, okay, I kind of like you. And then a lot of scenes, I'm like, I know exactly what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of
But
don't
it's
like
to
you.
bad people you don't necessarily like in the
Exactly,
first
Right.
place.
which
You're
is
like,
what makes me be like, yeah, I kind of like you.
Yeah.
I'm so conflicted.
Yeah, I just like that they're those two families are almost like two polar opposites. Like they both have strong older people in the family, right? But even like Cersei in the scene in the Septa Baelor, I think, where they go out onto the balcony and she like
Yeah.
freaks the hell out that he's going out there.
Joffrey, no.
Yeah, you can just
Well,
tell. And I think
peasants.
they discuss it at like dinner or something too, of them stopping at the orphanage. Like, yeah,
Yep.
we almost got murdered at the orphanage and you're an idiot for going there. So it's just cool to
Yeah.
see that they're coming together, but they're two polar opposites of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lannisters very much play into the fact that, like, have we gotten to this scene yet? Anyways, like, power is power. Like, that's the Lannister thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
power is power. Did we get to that scene that happened yet with? Yeah, that did earlier.
Yeah.
That was like season 1, Littlefinger. Like,
Yeah.
You're a bitch, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, the Tyrells, they're like, the people are power, but we still hold the power. So like Marjorie's playing into like the poor and the orphans and making the people like them. And
Right. Which seems like the logical thing to do in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. And that's once again the opposite of the Lannisters. And I thought that was a really cool scene too, in how throughout this season she manipulates Joffrey, right?
Yeah.
Because we have Cersei here, who historically and called out by Tywin can't control Joffrey. And like, why the hell can't you control Joffrey, Cersei? And she's like, I just can't. And then Marjorie comes along and is just like, spell. I
Yeah.
have bobs.
Yeah.
I am, I'm pretty and I can weave my magic. And he's scared to walk out of the sept to the people. And then he's standing there and he's like, oh, they love me. Everyone loves me.
Yeah.
All the way to the bedchamber where they're discussing. She's just like appeasing him, but like,
Totally
oh, your
pleasing. Yeah.
crossbow. It's
Yeah.
so nice. It's so
Right.
cool. Like, murder people with
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
fancy
Tell
that
me more.
you pull the trigger here and someone dies over there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow. Like, you're
just
just
shows
playing into
that-
this boy's like
Yeah.
fantasies right now.
Yeah, but it shows that he's weak to that kind of
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Versus Cersei,
yeah.
who's like trying to slap him and yell at him and that kind of crap, and he just reverts totally the opposite direction. So it just goes back to the total polar opposite thing. She's figured out this is the way you get through to Joffrey, by sweet talking him, not slapping him and trying to get your way like Cersei's trying to do, you know? But yeah, I love that. I love the whole scene of it almost seems like she's trying to figure out how to sweet talk him through there, and then she figures it out. That scene's great. Yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrells at the end of the day, they are very, they work with what is presented to them, and they play into the hearts and minds of the
Yep.
people. Whereas the
Yep.
Lannisters are more kind of like, we're gonna build a wall here,
Yeah.
we're gonna build a wall over here, and fuck you if you're on the other side of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That kind of the epitome of that was Joffrey when he was like, oh, they're attacking us, kill them all.
Kill them all. Yeah.
Just mass murder in the streets. Why?
Right.
Because
I'm the
someone
king.
hit me with a mud pie.
Yeah.
Shout out hot pie.
Yeah. Even though he's still alive.
Well, he might die. I don't remember. We'll have to see.
He doesn't die in season 3.
Yeah, he doesn't die in season 3.
He stays behind because he made the best
right.
bread
Best
they've
bread.
ever tasted.
Damn good bread. Good side tangent.
Is this a wolf?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Especially
little thing.
Gendry's face where he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really good.
It's like, damn. Some good bread there, hot pie.
I just love how his name's Hot Pie. Like that's just
Fits him perfectly.
I
Doesn't it?
love it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of hot pies, there's a weird dichotomy as well. There's just so much dichotomy in this show. So hot pies, we all know who has the hottest dong in the kingdom, and
Yep.
that's old Podrick here.
Dude.
Like we get that
One of my
whole
favorites like sub story arcs.
we get that
So
whole little
funny.
bit, and even like later on in scenes, like he's walking through the gardens and the girls just swoon over him
Yeah.
as he's awkwardly walks by. And they're, the whole bit is just like he has the best dong, and that was fantastic.
They're just like,
because
tell me in excruciating
Yeah.
detail.
Yeah. With wine, sit him down with porn and wine. We're gonna need
Tyrion and
great
Bronn
detail.
were up to serious business, but like they're just like completely confused and confounded that like what, you didn't have to pay them? They like insisted no.
Yeah.
Tell us everything. And good on that actor, because like he just plays the dumb squire.
He does, dude. I
Like
love
true
it.
and
Yeah.
true.
Big old dope.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
like even through the guard, like that's where it really clicked, was like season 8 or whatever it was, where he just kind of, or 9, where he just kind of like is like derping through the garden and they're just like swooning. I'm like, wow, that bit is still going on.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and there's like even like I think some of Littlefinger's girls are in one scene just like talking about like, oh, what, like you didn't make him pay or something. Like it just continues about the whole like free of charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was watching, I think it was that Histories and Lore for season 3, I did not even register Podrick is like a distant cousin to Ilyn Payne, the guy that chopped off Ned Stark's head. Didn't know that at all. Don't know why it's important. Don't know if it is important. I just find it fascinating that they're from the same family. I just wanted to put that in there. I don't know why. I just thought it was cool.
Word. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I love how
Did you finish off? Did you just polish off that whole bottle of wine?
This is all I have left.
he's getting his Tyrion on.
I drink and I know things about Game of Thrones. That is,
Oh, yeah, that's
Until
very
you get
true.
to the bottom of the bottle.
yeah. Now I'm about to know a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
More wine, please. Yeah, and on the dichotomy of that, right, to touch on something else that just extrapolates throughout this whole season, we all know who had the most prized dong and no longer has the most prized dong because it's in a box with his sisters.
Yeah.
Not to make that even
Not
more
his
weirder than
sister's
it was.
dong, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
His sister now has his prize dong. Poor Theon.
no dong Theon.
Yeah, I do want to break this down a little bit because I want to know how Mike takes Ramsay in these opening scenes here.
And that's what I realize about these is we have to break them down holistically because they're so spread out throughout the season. So
Right.
like we have to like park this right now.
So-
And talk about it.
Bolton is the one who tells Robert that he'll deal with Theon when he takes Winterfell, right? Is that the same guy?
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah.
And so is he talking about Ramsay being like that?
He's talking about his bastard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
The magic about Bolton is that he's in season 1, he's in season 2, he's just like there in the background lurking. And on my second watch, I'm like observing this and I'm like, man, he is just here. And you don't even like he's not even a thing until the Red Wedding. You're like, oh, he's a thing. Like he made a move.
Yeah.
But here he is like constantly like shadowing Rob and moving these pieces about.
Yeah.
And
I felt weird about him, you know.
He's weird.
In those scenes where he's like, yeah, I could just have my bastard son go and like it just he's felt very shady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, please describe to me what exactly you're telling me.
Yeah.
Never mind it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that this was the guy you were talking about, right? The last episode where you're like, I think I picked up on somebody that's in this that I didn't know was in this, right, Nick? This is the guy did we discuss this? Because you said, I think I noticed somebody that's in this season that plays a bigger part later on. And I think it was Bolton that you were talking about.
I think generally, I mean, maybe not that explicitly. I'm not recalling that conversation, but explicitly,
he did just finish off the bottom.
It's the wide, baby. Yeah.
Specifically Bolton, though, his character, I've much more appreciated his participation in this series from the get-go. Because like I saw him in season 1, I'm like, wow, like the thread is there.
Yeah.
And then all the way up to this point, because that's the like disillusionment of it's almost kind of like the the Mr. Robot shout out idea of where it's like the untrustworthy narrator.
No spoilers because we're making Chad watch it.
Yes. Yeah.
Be careful.
Right. where Ramsay Bolton here, the bastard, which is really Ramsay Snow.
Right.
He's our untrustworthy narrator. He lies the whole time to Theon, right?
Yep.
You don't really know what's happening here until Bolton says my bastard and describes some more of that in very late parts of the season.
Yeah.
Where you've already had like 5 scenes of this random guy who one looks like just pretends he's like the cleaner that saves Theon, that lets him run. Mike, I thought you were referencing the arrow scene being that where he misses Theon like 40 times.
No,
he's on the horse.
No, that arrow missing scene was the like tribute to Kat.
Yeah.
Was it her father that was dead?
Yeah, her father.
And he's like trying to light the boat.
So good, dude.
And misses like 3 shots.
Yeah.
And the other dude's like, get out of the way. Like,
I'd miss that shot. Like that sucks.
I was like, finally, a realistic shot of like what would actually happen. There's no way you could one shot a moving boat from like 200 yards away with a flaming arrow. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think you tell that to the Navy SEALs that did the boat with the freaking pirates. They're on a boat and they're shooting a boat. 4 shots at the same time hit their target. Like, yeah, it could be done. But I love the scene because the old man, just him like checking the flag, aiming up, shooting it, watches it for like a half a second, and then turns around. Yeah. Steph Curry, Michael Jordan.
Just gives him a shimmy and like walks out the dock.
Yeah. Love it, dude. So good.
I hate Steph Curry. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, Bolton's. That's where we. Talk to me about Bolton.
I was like, oh, finally, someone's getting Theon out of this torture chamber.
Yeah.
And then he brings it right back, and I was like, "Oh God, this guy's a psycho."
I love that they're like sneaking in to like somewhere,
Yeah.
and he's just like
right
following
back
him. It's
into
like
his
surprise.
chamber. Yeah.
Oh God. I was
Yeah,
thinking
but
about
I
you
was
the
like,
whole time,
who the
Mike.
heck is this guy?
Right.
But yeah, it's just crazy, and like the stuff that he does to Theon is just like, ugh.
Very medieval.
Yeah, dude.
So, I mean, he's doing all that. So, how do you feel about? I mean, how does this put Joffrey in your mind? Like, Joffrey does some messed up stuff, but like, I mean, this is pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are they any different? I mean, I just think Ramsay has the opportunity to actually follow through.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And we see Joffrey does torture
Follows
somebody.
through, yeah.
Follows
Oh
through.
yeah,
So,
rip our
little-
favorite hooker.
Yeah.
Or, you know, what I mean,
little
like,
foot, little gal. I'm gonna call him
Littlefoot.
Littlefoot forever now.
I mean, that was
Shout out Land Before Time.
that was a rough scene though, where we kind of get her just kind of like crossbow bolted to like the
Dude,
bed
yeah, they don't
frame.
even show it, which I thought was interesting because she was kind of a important character,
Yeah.
right? And
She's
they
working
don't
for
even show it.
Varys. She was working for Littlefinger.
Yeah.
She was a lot of in the know about things. She
wasn't
moved-
really a terrible person.
She was, yeah.
Which kind of sucks because
Yeah.
all the good guys just get got in this
Right.
show.
Yep.
And she was definitely like one of the good characters, and she just kind of just like missing for a few episodes, and then all of a sudden, like, nah, she got
Yeah.
murdered by Joffrey.
Yeah.
For
in
sure.
in a literal blink of a like you could miss that scene if you weren't paying attention. You could miss that she died, and then you wonder where the hell she's been all this. So I thought it was super interesting they didn't show it. Not that they needed to show Joffrey torturing more shit through the show, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that they skipped over, showing her pinned up on there.
Yeah, and that was definitely a surprise too, because that kind of shows up out of nowhere, and like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole like misdirection about Sansa's like handmaiden, which is Tyrion's girlfriend, call her.
Good old Shay.
Good old Shay. Because there's all that misdirection, but like finally she gets it. Shay is still surviving. She's still making it by.
Yeah.
And that's also like a super fun, interesting dynamic to watch, is like Tyrion has to marry Sansa. Shay is Sansa's handmaiden.
Yeah, awkward as hell, right?
So awkward.
Yeah.
But it kind of pays off when on the morning of their wedding night, she rips off the bed covers and then kind of looks at the sheets, and she's like, nothing.
Yeah.
Cool. Good job, Tyrion. He's just like wasted on
Like,
that whole, to jump back to that, like, is he about to bang the 14-year-old? No, thank God. He's going to crash on the futon and just pass out.
Yeah.
And that is a fun thing to watch too, about how he's building his trust with her, because like he tells her the first time like they engage, like, I won't hurt you. Like he's trying to convince her, like, I am not going to do you wrong.
Yeah.
But obviously, as
hard
the
for
viewer,
her to believe, and hard
as
for
the
her
viewer,
to believe,
as her, why should we believe that?
Right.
Why should she believe that?
We really haven't seen Tyrion do anything to make us not. She hasn't, but like we have or have not seen.
We believe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, again, it's really hard to not be in Tyrion's corner.
Right. And we know that as the viewer, and that's like the one thing that like nicely pays off. And this is where this show is just constantly like tricking you, where you're like, all right, Tyrion's going to fail at some point. Yeah. Tyrion doesn't fail at any point. Like he's doing the right thing.
Right.
Meanwhile, Rob's getting just like murdered over here in the corner. Meanwhile, Tyrion is quietly like winning the whole time, where Tyrion is completely set up throughout the season to just like be the rough part of the script.
Yeah.
So unfortunate. And I think that brings us
I think that pretty much wraps up all of the King's Landing,
Yeah.
Winterfell stuff.
Yeah, I think.
But there's quite a decent chunk of Night's Watch stuff intertwined with Bran stuff. Those kind of start to link up together. And then my favorite part of the season is all of the Dany stuff.
Yeah.
All of the Valyrian travels and sieges and how she kind of outplays her adversaries throughout the season. Yeah, so which one do you want to talk
Yeah.
about between
Which one
those
do you want to do
two?
first?
well, I was thinking we'd jump back over to old Jon Snowboy because he has a pretty fun arc that we haven't really touched on. Because obviously he kills his boy, very saddened by that.
Rest in peace.
John is constantly torn, but he is definitely earning his stripes over here with the wildlings
Yeah.
and with the king beyond the wall. All in the while, getting a girlfriend,
Smashing.
smashing in
Yeah.
the hot springs in the cold
By
weather.
the way, so Chad, I thank you for lending me your DVDs, but I did get access to HBO again. So I've been watching season 3 through the app.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And whenever I open it up, like they're advertising the time traveler's wife. And wouldn't you know, who is that? It's your girl, Ygritte.
Oh, is it really? Yeah, you
Yeah.
know they're married in real life too.
That's what Nick said.
Yeah.
Are they still married?
I think so. Yeah.
Good for them.
She's great in this show.
Yeah.
So funny. Like,
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, I like this whole storyline. Especially the man's kind of explaining like how he got everybody together, and there's like whatever 90 different tribes, 7 different languages.
This one wants to kill that
This
one.
one,
These
yeah.
ones want to kill that one.
Yeah. And explaining that, like, you want to know how I did that? I told him we were all going to die if we don't get together. So you know something's in the background that's causing that reaction from them. We don't necessarily, outside of little snippets of the White Walkers scenes that we've gotten so far, we don't really know what's causing that. They're not explicitly saying that, I think you could take it as almost like it's just getting it's winter. We've discussed multiple times in the show that winters are really bad in this world. They last multiple years. They're far north where it's already cold, so it's just getting worse. So I took it like that's why they're trying to move south, because it's going to get really freaking cold and they're living in huts basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this. I really like this whole sequence. I think it gets better later on, but this is a good kind of setup for it.
See a giant.
See a giant for the first time, right? Yeah, we do see it. There is a lot in
Never
this
seen
season.
a giant before, Jon Snow.
Yeah, there is a lot of mystical stuff going on in this season. A lot more than the first 2 seasons. Would you agree? And I know, Mike, I think you said you were excited to get to that more extravagant stuff.
Yeah,
We're starting to ramp.
fantastical.
Yeah, we're starting to ramp up, but we see the giants. We see a lot of magic.
Yep.
So
dragons are getting bigger.
We see the we'll get to the Dany stuff later, but yeah. So tell me, did you like the Jon Snow stuff, Mike?
Yeah, I would say out of the 3 like main stories going on, it's probably for me I wouldn't say the weakest, because I believe this is carrying like the overarching series plot line. But it was probably the least entertaining to me compared to how much stuff, like the Night's Watch stuff is still, I believe, setting up things to come seasons down the road.
Yeah.
Whereas, the Winterfell, King's Landing stuff literally wrapped up. So there's a lot going on there. And then, Dany's over there amassing her army and like doing stuff. So there's like a lot going on there. And this is just kind of like low key happening in the background, a few scenes an episode here and there, maybe like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes in the next episode or so. I don't discount what is happening, but out of the 3 things going on, that was probably my least. I was the least excited when this stuff was happening.
It's
Yeah.
definitely the safer stuff that's going on. Like it's the more predictable stuff.
Mhm.
Where you're kind of, nothing crazy is happening, even though stuff is crazily happening. But like
Yeah.
John's north of the wall, he's with people he doesn't want to be with, but with the one person he does want to be with.
Right.
He's trying to get back to Castle Black. We got Sam trying to get back to Castle Black. He adopts a son, basically.
He's
The whole
got
Craster
Bay.
situation. R.I.P. Commander Mormont.
Yeah, dude.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace.
Sad. That made me sad.
Very,
Um,
very.
He's in a lot of things. But the main antagonist of that whole let's kill Craster. He's in Pacific Rim.
Yeah, yeah,
as-
yeah.
I by no means know who he is or what his name is, but I like him every time I see him.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad Craster got the axe, but I'm sad it came at the price of Mormont.
Mormont. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think they're just they're all starving, they're freezing, they're going crazy. And you had this group in seasons 1 and 2 during the Night Watch stuff that were not like going against John, and that's kind of who picks up here at Craster's Keep and does the overthrowing there. So you could kind of see it coming. I didn't see Mormont dying. I thought that was kind of shocking, but I think it does get overshadowed by the more shocking elements of the season. But yeah, I would probably agree with Mike where this stuff for me is like it's okay. Like it's okay. I don't think it's the strongest of the season by any stretch of the imagination, as well as the Bran stuff. Although there are cool things going on in Bran's story, we're learning about the wargs. We're learning that, he can warg into a human, which is nobody can do. We do see wargs north of that. So we're getting, snippets of cooler magical things going on. So that was really the draw to me for his storyline. Outside of that, I thought it's kind of boring. And it's really not that plentiful throughout the season.
I mean, to your point, even like the whole price for King's Landing, like that's where you would want to live. Most of the season is focused in the mid to south part of, we're focused on the twins. That's where the Red Wedding happens. That's, we're in King's Landing a ton.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that this is definitely much more the more bland. It's setting stuff up, right? North of the wall, even the north part of the kingdoms. Winterfell's just a ruin. The best thing we have in that region is Ramsay Bolton torturing Theon.
Right.
And I really remembered his sister, that whole ramp up, like, I am going to go save Theon, being a lot more dramatic. And I was just like, that kind of fell flat. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I forget how that all plays out.
Yeah, it becomes more dramatic here moving forward. That was just her, like, I'm going to go do this speech.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I find her kind of annoying as well, and the dad Balon. I don't know. They just seems like they're not doing anything. Like
they're truly side characters.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be part of this 5 King War going on, and they haven't left the freaking Iron Islands.
That's what I mean. They suck.
Yeah, they suck. So, yeah, I don't know. They're really not in this season all that much anyway. But yeah. Mike, talk to me about like the wargs and stuff. You like seeing that kind of stuff? Magic?
Yeah, so far it's been kind of like run of the mill, your typical fantasy-esque things. I mean, nothing too crazy. The first what are they called? Wargs?
Warg, yeah.
Yeah, the first warg dude. Really hate that guy.
Yeah.
That dude's gnarly.
Really hate that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the 2 new preteens or whatever that find Bran, and the boy's also warg, and he's like, I've been led to you, we got to go find this crow. That was really cool. And also the actor that plays that kid looks so familiar to me.
Yeah, he
But,
does
like,
to me too, but I
have
don't
no idea why, and I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever seen him in anything else.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like,
He's
you
got one of those
look
faces.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I didn't. There was nothing in these scenes that really like got me riled up like the other two story arcs.
Yeah.
But that's not, again, I'm not saying that like it wasn't good or I don't enjoy it. It's just the other two were really, really good
Right.
and just a lot more going on. But
Yeah.
it's your typical fantasy stuff so far.
I guess the most exciting thing that happened with this whole like arc is the climbing of the wall.
Yeah.
I think that was very cool
Yeah.
to like, because what's her name? Sam's girl.
Gilly?
Gilly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the flower or plant or whatever they reference.
Yeah.
Her dialogue in terms of, you know, never thought I'd see the wall, and like, you know, they just don't come close to it. Like it's just this very mystical thing. Like it's this mystical thing on both sides of it, right? People
Right.
from the South are like very amazed by it. The wildlings are very kind of impressed and like kind of daunted by it. But then we have redhead half giant guy who's just forget him, but he's just like you know, like 50 times, like half 100 times I've just like scaled this thing. Like he's just the boss, and kind of realized like, so you're like, these wildlings are scaling this like 700-foot wall just to raid on a whim for fun. Like these guys are hard asses. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Now that was a cool scene too, and that plays into like the warg you don't like, because he was just like, I'm gonna cut these cats.
Yeah.
He's
I did
got a thing for John's girl.
Right.
Yeah, he was very forward with that. He's like, I can be your man. Like,
Yeah.
like just ditch the crow.
I feel like I would maybe want to date a dude that could fly around as a crow. You know, it's just me personally. You know, I get Jon Snow's very pretty looking. But I think that scene's cool. That definitely the climb is cool. I, for whatever reason, still even thought that came way later. I think I'm mixing it up with something else, but it was cool to see. Their little kiss at the top was cute, and we can move on from there. But because I do want to talk, before we get to the Dany stuff, I do want to talk just briefly about the White Walker scene with Samwell and Gilly, because
Shank.
There's a couple important things here moving forward. We see that the dragon glass is what kills them, right? And was he coming to get a Craster baby? Is that what he thought he was doing? Okay.
He was hunting the Craster baby they missed.
Yeah.
Is how I picked up on that.
Okay.
I also love all the crows. Just like gathering outside.
The cool thing about the White Walker scenes, or they have got some of the best horror elements of the show with any of the White Walker stuff.
Dude, I'm outside and there's just like crows in the neighborhood just like going off, and I'm just like, wow, man, like is shit about to go down?
Yeah, go outside, bro.
I'm spooked.
You look and all of a sudden your tree just magically has like a face.
Yeah.
Jon Snow.
I love Samwell. He's like the interactions with him and Gilly where he's like just telling her stuff and she's like, are you trying to confuse me with all these big words? It's like, no, I'm just like telling you what I know. Like, and he's just so pure hearted and like his intentions are so good, and he's just like, I don't know. I love those scenes. They're adorable.
There's so many.
I agree.
The bit where she's like, you know all that because you looked at some like scratch, like some scribbles on like some paper. It's like, you're a wizard. He's just like so happy. He's like, I'm a wizard. But you step back and you think about that. It's like, you know, we take for granted that we can like read. And and this is also a bit here with Sir Davos. Like he can't read. And that's like a little bit of a thread in this season where it's like, are we a little bit like wizard like? Because we can look at like some stupid paper and just like get information. Like, is that wizard like? And you kind of like, you question that and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
In this time frame, I would imagine so.
Am I a wizard?
Am I a wizard?
I still don't fully comprehend how the internet works.
I
Like,
thought he was
right.
going to say,
how you can
I still can't fully read.
Yeah.
I thought that's
Yeah.
where that was
Must be
going.
nice,
Chad-
guys. I felt like I really related well with Gilly and
Yeah.
Davos here in these episodes.
Shout out our Discord because Chad still doesn't know how Discord works.
Yeah,
So
he's learning.
he's learning, but like you will be a wizard one day, Chad. And you will know how this second iteration of the internet will work.
Yeah.
So
I also just love. I noticed you mute your mic there, and I still love how your name is Chadwick the Third.
Yeah, it's always been like that, bro.
No one's ever changed it. I love it.
No, never. It's
Yeah.
part of me now.
Reading and like language in general, like we're just gonna go like very abstract right now, are so weird when you think about it. Like,
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
like especially when you listen to a foreign language to you, and you're like, how does anyone make any sense of what is being said right now? And then like, I mean, I'm sure it's the exact same anyone listening to us speak that doesn't speak English natively.
I mean, my favorite bit is kind of like how when you're like, there isn't a word for that in this language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you get to the point of understanding where you're like, there isn't a word for that in this language, but you have
Yeah.
a word for this thing. I'm like, that's just like bananas.
Yeah, but for real though, the internet does boggle my mind. Like how through thin air am I able to see and talk to you dorks? Just doesn't
It's
make
crazy
any sense
stuff,
to
dude.
me. Whoever made the internet is the real wizard.
Yeah, true. Very valid argument you have there. Let's briefly touch on the Stannis storyline because there are a couple important things, and then we can move on to Danny.
I keep thinking about your detail on the actor. Like he just doesn't know like shit when it comes to like. And I was just like sitting there and watching these scenes. I'm like, man, this guy sucks, but I don't know why I like him.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing. Like all the Stannis scenes, like he's so much of like just a board. Like he's just like a blank board that just kind of moves. And then, but there's these very dynamic characters around him being like the Red Lady, like she just kind of like sucks but doesn't suck. And then there is Sir Davos, who's just like brilliant.
Yeah,
like,
I love him.
Him in this season's great because whether it's learning to read from Stannis' daughter to connecting with what's his face about Flea Bottom.
Yeah.
Like that was all great.
Gendry. Yep. What's up with Stannis' daughter's face? Did I miss that detail?
Did they say that, Chad?
No, they haven't explained it yet. But yeah, I do want to bring that up because we do.
Don't need to spoil, like,
I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
Shut up, Mike.
But we
Stop
do need
asking questions.
But we do need to talk about that he has a daughter because that comes up in this season, obviously.
We need to talk about why. This
Yeah.
bottle of wine is empty.
Yeah.
That's what we need to talk about. Hey, product like this is pretty tasty, whatever it is. Boggle. It looks like a dragon or something. That's why I picked it.
I see like an old
brand.
Ancient willowy tree is what I think of.
Yeah, I think of a tree as well. I don't know where you're getting dragon, but
it
looks like, you know what it looks like?
Bottom of the bottle.
I know, I got it. Melisandre's baby.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That
little Stannis.
Little baby Stannis.
The Lannister like lion, like
yeah.
Like it's just all the things. Shout out whatever that brand is.
So anyway,
it's a great endorsement.
Yeah. So anyway, we learn Stannis has a daughter. She's shut away for whatever reason. We don't know why per se. And then we kind of meet, and I think we see her briefly in the first two seasons. We meet his wife, and she's also shut in like a total freaking psychopath by all stretch of the imagination because she has like her dead kids like in jars inside of her room.
I missed that the first time I watched it. I was watching that scene. I was like, I know why Stannis is like the way he is. Like this is traumatizing. Like,
yeah.
This is your wife. Like
right.
I would be a board too. I would just be a blank board. Like,
yeah,
guys, like you don't I get what we're talking about, and like magic, blood, gods, war. My wife has like our dead babies
Yeah.
in jars
Yeah.
upstairs.
In
Like
glowing
I'm
green
scarred
jars.
too.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, this is what I go to bed. to, okay. Okay.
Snoke is upstairs. Like
Right.
the failed Snokes are upstairs. Like, have you seen Star Wars?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. She's just weird, man. There's something about her. She's like totally okay with Stannis like cheating on her with Melisandre. She's just a weird freaking character. I take it as like she's just like really mentally sick. You know what I mean? That's how I take the character. And is there anything really more important to talk about? We do get Gendry. So
Oh, yeah.
Melisandre goes to the
Yeah.
Brotherhood without banners.
Yes. Stanny's like, yo, you want to make another shadow baby? And she's like, nah, dude. Hard
Leeches.
pass.
Yeah.
And he's like, but you said, I have, the king's blood and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, you aren't the only one. And then she goes and gets old Gendry. And then we have like some weird, like fetish love scene here where, they're like doing their thing. And then she's like, go check this out. And then like whips out a box of leeches.
Yeah.
And he's like, I did not sign up for this.
Chest, stomach, hole. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, in that moment, that's probably where the most blood flow is happening. So
True.
That's the point.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And this is a question I kind of want to ask you guys is, of all the gods and religion were introduced throughout this series, like, what is your religion? What gods do you pray to at this point in the series? And if it was one and then the other, let's hear it. We'll start with you, Mike. Like, where are you at religious wise in the Game of Thrones universe? Are you praying to the trees? Are you praying to the Fire Lord? Or are you of the seven? Where are you at?
I don't think I'm anywhere because they're all like not panning out so great at this moment. I think from the jump,
Rocks.
I've been against the fire god.
Okay.
Just because they make it seem very villainous.
No go on the fire god. So the Brotherhood without banners, no go.
I mean, they're cool dudes, but I don't know if I could like get behind the religion,
So you're like, I'll hang out with you and I'll fight this war, but like, if you want me to do weird stuff in the cave,
I mean, come on,
no weird stuff in the cave.
Guy. Yeah, weird cave stuff. Leech on poles, not a fan of. Weird shadow demon babies.
No bueno.
Yeah, but none of the other gods seem to be really panning out either, like, or even being real. So I don't know. I think at this point I'm an atheist in the Game of Thrones. I would be interested to see the man with no face, what their religion pans out to be.
No spoiler, but I'm pretty sure they're just the god of death, which is the outlier of the seven of the new gods.
Yeah.
So I'll chalk you up for like
I'll be the hound at the moment. Okay, I'm still trying to find my way. Yeah, just
fuck the king.
Whatever,
fuck the gods. This show sucks. I'm not watching season 4.
Exactly, I'm done. Yep. Just gonna find me an Arya and go on like a little murderous rampage with my little murderous
partner.
Yeah.
What about you, Chad?
Yeah, it's the fire god for me, 100%. And I'll explain why. And you kind of touched on it. It's literally
Mike.
It's the only god that's doing anything in the show. I will point out that the seven have some really cool sayings. 7 hells.
Yeah, I do like their
gods. I was strong back then. They have cool sayings, but the fire god, they're actually doing crap, dude. Like it's working. Whatever they're doing,
it seems so evil.
Might be evil, but it's working. Is the point?
You are a firefighter.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's it.
He would
Maybe that's
know
it.
how to tame it, I guess.
The draw to the fire. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it's an easy fire god 100%. It's the only one that's actually doing much of anything at the current moment.
Nick.
You know, I'm trying to separate myself from like future knowledge,
Yeah.
but like I'm still grasped by like season 2 and the whole like the faceless death god. Like Arya is onto something here. She's really kind of she's on a tear. The old gods are boring. They're just faces and trees.
Yeah.
The 7, they just kind of suck. But luckily the god of death is part of the 7, so that kind of works your way into there. But I thought it was interesting that everyone kind of worships a different part of the 7. But I think
Yeah.
that's just kind of like a hailment to Christianity, and that like some people worship like Mother Mary, some people worship Jesus, Old Testament, blah blah blah. So I think that's just like an extrapolation of that.
Yeah.
So I guess God of Death for now. Like I guess like what it sucks because he's also in like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Saw it first, as Chad would say.
Yeah.
So I'm just like on board with that right now in my
Right.
life. So
Well, let's revisit this at like season
six,
5,
6.
5,
Yeah,
6.
5, 6.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
Mike
we might have
makes
some
it that
different
far.
answers.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
mean,
going
Just
to.
make it that far.
Might as
He's
well
going to.
talk about it now because I'm not watching anymore.
Well, Mike, like, why? Why are you
Everybody
that
goes,
disgruntled?
but everybody goes through that with the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
Everybody was
Everyone.
mother effing this show at the Red Wedding. It's a normal reaction.
Every chick
It's
went
actually
through this.
Yeah, it's actually a it's actually a good reaction because it means A, you were paying attention and it hit you right in the guts like it should have. So it's a good reaction. You'll get past it. Just
B,
get into season 4.
They subverted the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Before, and this is what I told Chad, is this show is like both the master and the originator of the subversion of expectations. Like they busted our culture on this front.
Yeah. I agree.
Watching this because I'm just so amazed at like how well this is woven to be like Rob is the guy. Like he's gonna make it like however many seasons the shows go on, but nah, fuck y'all. Like
Yeah.
like
Same
he's
with
dead.
Ted. Same with Ted too. Yeah.
You know, he gets married to great value Jennifer Love Hewitt. They're about to
20
have
years ago.
a little baby Ned. I mean, I'm just like, all right, dude, we're winning the war. We're making the right moves. We got this ingenious plan to go take Casterly Rock, and then nope.
Watch it again, and you're like, I
show's
was so
over.
set up for this.
Yeah,
Like they set
dude,
you up
yeah.
so bad for that.
They set you up big time.
They set everyone up so bad for that. And you just think back, and it's like, that's how normal shows work.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the heroine is just like all odds are pitted against them, and they just figure it out.
Yeah. Not here though.
Not here. It's like, no, you know what? Like, yeah, when the odds are pitted against you, you might die.
Yeah.
Sorry. Rip.
All right, let's move on to Mike's favorite storyline. I think, at least that's what he said.
Heck yeah, old Danny. The conquest of Slaver's Bay. And this isn't as apparent at the front end because you're like city, city, city. But by the end of it, you understand that this is like a unit called Slaver's Bay.
Yeah.
And she conquers it.
Yeah.
And just whips it.
I just love how like
Ironically.
when she's getting
very ironically.
unsullied, like the dude is just like bad mouthing her the whole time in Valyrian, and then like you come to find out she's like knows everything he's saying, and like whole turn was amazing, and I'm like, yes.
At what point? Wait, did you not know that till it happened, or did you know it as it was happening?
No, I didn't know until she was like says something in Valyrian, and then I'm like, oh snap, she knew everything because he was saying some pretty not nice things.
It's funny because her reaction throughout the entirety of that, you can tell that she knows what he's saying. You know,
in hindsight, knowing how that plays out, you're like waiting for it and you want it to happen. It's almost like it has an equal impact like Mike watching it for the first time and me watching it for the second time, I'm like, I'm ready for this. Like,
Yeah.
she's gonna
Yeah.
roast this dude. And
Yeah,
like
dude.
it was equally as rewarding when
Yeah.
she's just like speaks it and he's just like,
Ah, crap.
shit.
Yeah.
But like the whole plan she devises to get the Unsullied, where she gives him the dragon, I'm like, there's no way this is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
Like as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, yeah, she's definitely going to kill this dude and
Yeah.
just take the army. But like, I love how that set up like the working relationship with her two little men at arms there.
Yeah, and I do want to point out because we are getting the return of another character here from the first season. Barristan Selmy shows up,
Mhm.
saves Dany from that freaking weird magical scorpion looking thing, whatever the hell that is, and the little like freaky
Like,
child assassin
demon
with the
baby
black
thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
demon baby.
That was creepy.
Yeah,
That was.
and it's cool. It's cool because he is like a renowned warrior. If you listen to any of the history and lore things, you can pick up more background on Barristan. He's a great character, so I would love to see him back after his little freak out in the throne room in season 1, where he rips off his gear and he dips.
Fucking done.
So yeah, I was super excited to see him back. And then this whole I really like it. This is to me some of the strongest Dany stuff. At least up until this point, I think it is the strongest. It's just cool to see the way that she is. But you also kind of have to remember that even though she seems very righteous in freeing slaves, she's doing it for a reason. She's getting an army. She's not like, of course, she's doing a good thing, but she's getting something massive in return for it.
I'm gonna do this crazy thing, but in a nice way.
In a nice way.
Make friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I like how it kind of puts who's my favorite character? Who's the dude with Dany?
Jorah.
Keep the names.
Jorah.
I love how she kind of puts Jorah and Barristan kind of in their place of like, I'm thinking this stuff through, guys. Like I'm like 3 steps ahead of you. Just you gotta trust me. I know I'm a dainty little mother of dragons, but like,
if you ever question me in front of strangers again, I will murder you.
Yeah. Lots of murder threats throughout all of these arcs. The Unsullied are insane, like
monsters.
Yeah, I love it. And then what's the commander Grey Worm? Is that his name?
Yes. Yep.
Love that. Now I do have a question with when they get to whatever. I think maybe it's the final city where they hire the 3 mercenary.
Second Sons, yeah.
So is that the man without a face?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I just remember I forgot what he looked like when he left, but then
I can see where you get
coin thing, and I was like, is that the same guy? It can't be.
And I'll give you a benefit here. He gets
you need
recast
it
in season 4.
Yeah.
So completely skip over that.
Yeah.
He's recast in season 4. Face completely changes.
Dang it.
Have you seen Haunting of Hill House?
Yeah.
He is the writer in Haunting of Hill House, the one that writes the book, the main dude.
Yeah, the main,
that's gonna so he's recast, and also the Mountain eventually is recast as well. So
I was gonna say the Mountain does not look like
exactly. So that is important to know because you could get really confused there when this dude shows back up.
It took me like a whole season to realize that the first time through. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Who's he playing Stranger Things, Nick?
No. So that's the man without a face.
Who's he playing?
He's like a prison guard or something.
Yeah, he's a prison guard. You haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. I like that guy.
New character.
The
great thing though is that he plays a Russian character in Stranger Things, and he's a German actor, so he just carries the same like cadence in his dialogue, where he's just like, "You know nothing. You must choose it. You must pick a name. You can't you can't pick the name of me."
Yeah.
It's great. So
I really
completely new character.
Sad that he's gone. Right.
Hey, if you keep watching Game of Thrones, he'll be back.
No, he won't be back though.
If you watch Stranger Things, you'll see him again.
I'm working on it. I got halfway through episode 1 before I started to get sleepy last night.
Oh, so 30 minutes of the 9 hours you have to watch
Yeah. It's good. I like
by
it so far, though.
Thursday.
Hey, I got plenty of time.
Hey, shout out next week. We're gonna be going over Stranger Things Part 1 of Season 4.
It's gonna
Rip
be fun.
Chad
It's gonna be a good one.
hasn't seen any of it. Have you
Wait.
seen Stranger Things?
Yeah. I've watched it. I'm just waiting for Brady wants to watch it with me. Although I have heard that I might not want to let him watch this season. I might have to vet it first. He watched the first 3 seasons, but I hear this one kind of amplifies the violence a little bit.
It does. It matures a lot. Side tangent. And if you're sensitive to like a bunch of like dead children in like hallways that look like a school, they give you a warning for it.
Oh God Almighty! Oh, okay.
If you're sensitive to the one thing that everyone should be sensitive
to, yeah.
FYI, they warn you.
Yeah,
They're like, hey, sorry, we filmed this a year ago. Unfortunately, this just happened like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. We're a little too far in the game here to really do anything about it. But yeah, this army that she's accumulating is getting quite powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
I love the Unsullied. They are so Age of Empires 2. If you play as the Visigoths, you get these units that are just like these shield melee units, and they take 1 damage from all like range units. So you can, and they count as half a population on the population count, so you can make double the army you normally would. I would just make like 400 of them and just maul whatever was in front of me.
I gotta think that they're very effective. And we see it. Dude. We see it throughout the show. The shield and the spear, dude, is just so freaking effective. Like it's a brilliant combination.
It's the Spartan kind of way, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of have that elite Spartan vibe to them. They are, they mentioned they are trained in like several melee crafts, but like sword and spear, and they even mentioned like a couple of different spear like what means. But yeah, these guys are just deadly, and they're so regimented, and like the one dude loses his entire nipple and he just like doesn't care. And so that they established early on that like these guys are just walls. They are just an impenetrable wall of just discipline. And all of a sudden Danny goes from kind of like this Scrabble to having this wall around her, to where even in the last scene of this season, these people that adore her and call her mother, they are still shield up, spear out, like we will just like knife you if you like step out of line.
I love that panning shot too. Just seeing how many of those people there were at the end there, calling her mother. Her numbers have, as if 3 dragons wasn't enough to do probably what she needed to do. Now she's got this massive army behind her. So she went from,
couple hundred, 50,
to
8,000 and solid, 2,000 of the horsemen.
And
she's got a 10,000 army at least.
So
3
she's
dragons
making moves, making the right moves.
And they make a couple call outs too in this season in terms of her predecessor, the original 3 dragons that just like burnt Westeros to the ground. And they were just kind of saying like those 3 dragons did their thing. Here comes, it's all that to us. It's all the foreshadowing because we take it seriously as the viewers, but like most of Westeros doesn't even care right now.
No, not at all, because they're clear across the sea, not a concern at the moment. And when we see that too with, not to go totally back, but Joffrey and Tywin's conversation, and like Joffrey's like, maybe we should do something about the dragons over there. And he's like, yeah, just don't worry about it. Okay. I'll just kill her at a wedding or something.
Yeah. Looks like you need a nap, by the way. So
Yeah.
I'm writing a letter about it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess there isn't much to talk about on Dany's side because all her stuff's pretty straightforward. She knows what she wants, says what she wants, and goes and gets what she wants.
Yeah.
And then
way to put
that's
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a pretty quick shift, and I think that was something. It was so fast, like, because I definitely now remember watching like season 3 straight into 4, because I didn't realize the degree at which she kind of got the second sons under her command,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, like, actor change, like,
Right.
all
yeah,
that,
yeah.
like, it just happened so quickly. So just know that, like, the second son's leader, Mike, is a new actor, like,
Yeah.
season 1 or season 4 episode 1. So yeah, that happened so fast. And that dude just like knifes his other lieutenants or like the other leaders. Like, he just like beheaded them. He was like, I think she's pretty. And I really kind of chalk it up to that.
Yeah. Okay, so I was thinking that you were saying the man without a face actor change.
No.
Nope.
The second son's
happy.
dude.
That makes me happy because I
Dario.
love that guy, and I was like,
Oh, yeah,
I
that
don't
guy
want
doesn't
him to
change.
change.
No, he won't.
I don't care
He'll be
about the
back.
second son's guy.
Spoiler.
He was on screen for like 5 seconds. I don't care about him.
They will both be back.
I mean, the character's cool,
one
but
with
I
him.
don't mind the actor, whatever.
Yeah. We just told you because they don't tell you. And if you don't know his name or remember him, you're not even going to pick it up.
I love it when they do a little casting switcherino on you.
Yeah.
Like everyone forgets about War Machine, and then
yeah.
It's not always Don Cheadle.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not bad in Iron Man, but like in this show, they should put like a little bit of text. Like,
yeah.
Because like that because it sucked the first time. Because I was like, what? I'm more confused.
Yeah.
I'm already tracking all these characters, and like,
Yeah.
I'm more confused. He's completely different. But at the end of the day, I mean, Chad disagree with me, but I approve of the recasting.
Oh,
of
I
him.
do too. Yeah, 100%. I do think it's funny because the guy that plays Dario in this season is the bad guy in Deadpool, the first Deadpool movie, if you didn't know that.
Really?
He doesn't even know why he got recast. He has no idea. They didn't even tell him. They just recast and move on. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting because he's not a bad actor. It's not. I don't know if it was maybe to bring his.
Him.
No, I didn't dislike him either. I don't know if it was to bring the likeness closer to the books or what. But typically when that happens, it's like a scheduling conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This dude came out and was like, yeah, I have no idea.
He's like, I was about to tear it up.
Yeah, I was super excited for the rest of the show, and then they never called me back.
That's
weird.
Yeah. So where do we go from here now? I guess watch season 4, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
and I'm so excited because oh my god, season 4 is probably one of my favorites. One of my favorites. Definitely introduces one of my favorite characters by far, by a mile. Probably my favorite character by a mile.
I like how much I don't remember season 4, and I'm really excited now.
Yeah.
Same, Nick. Same.
This season's great, man. I can't wait for Mike to watch it. I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
We have to wait like 6 months to talk about it, but it's fine. We'll get to it eventually.
I did want to point out back to the Red Wedding. And this is
Can't escape this, huh?
this is I love Cersei so much. She tells Marjorie the tale of the title of episode 9, which is the Reigns of Castamere.
Which is also the name of the song, the Lannister song. Which
is the name of the Lannister song that plays during the Red Wedding.
Okay, bio.
Yeah.
And I love this because she tells this tale to to Marjorie as almost like a one-up, and she schools her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a threat at the same time. And this is like the beginning of this notorious like line of Cersei threatening people
Oh yeah.
in very passively aggressive ways.
Yep.
And she just lays it out. And this is episode 8, right before episode 9. She just lays it all out there. And I'm just listening to her tell this. And I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah. Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
all right here.
It's all right there in episode 8. Yep. Yep.
And the Rains, right? It's not like the Rain. It is the Rains were a family that opposed the Lannisters, and they just outright brutally murdered all of them in one
Yeah.
swoop.
Yep.
And knowing it in hindsight, like it's just like, wow, that's brilliant. And
it really is.
she tells this, and this is foreshadowing the Red Wedding, but at the same time, independently, it's just a threat to Marjorie in that I will kill all of you.
And that's why I think most people miss it.
Yeah.
Because they get locked into the scene that it's discussed in, right?
Yeah. And Marjorie's just kind of like, she's trying to do her thing. She's trying to be like, let's be friends, let's be sisters. And
Sisters.
Cersei's just like, listen, you ever hear of like the Rains?
Yeah.
We killed them all.
Yeah.
Because they just weren't us.
Right.
And there's just so much that builds up to it. So many clues.
Oh yeah.
And nods
It's all,
to the Red Wedding.
Oh
it's
yeah.
just so painted in there.
It's interesting because there's going back through it, it's abundantly clear what is going to happen. Now we probably see it a lot easier because we know what happens, right?
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Mike probably didn't pick up on those
No.
little elements.
Oh.
That's why I think the show is so great a second, third time, because you pick up these snippets of not just the Red Wedding, but other stuff that happens later in the show that was really right in front of your freaking face the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great use of the name of the episodes, which kind of get overlooking
Yeah.
at times because you're like, it's just the name of the episode. But the episode right prior, Cersei calls out the name of the next episode, and that it's explicitly the same
The
tale.
same tale, yeah.
And that just like really kind of struck a chord to me. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like,
Great,
they're
man.
really kind of just like, if you know, and it's just like in your face.
Right.
And all the warnings are there. Same thing with the Boltons. I said this to you, Chad. Like they're just lurking all the time,
Mm-hmm.
making moves, doing things, but you're not paying attention to them because they're not explicitly out there saying like, we are the Boltons.
No.
And it's so apparent too, like the whole X cross like torture thing, like they're on the banners.
Yeah.
But Theon is in that position like the whole season.
Right.
And it just clicks.
Yeah. And I also really like the part where at the end of I think it's episode 10 when he's talking to Walder Frey and he says or maybe he's talking to somebody else because he's talking about Walder Frey. And he said that Walder Frey offered him a wife and then her weight in silver.
Yes.
And he's like, so I got me a fat wife back at home. I was like, that's so freaking brilliant, dude. Like, I love it. Just shows what this guy's about. He doesn't care about marrying. He doesn't care about any of that. Doesn't drink. Yeah.
And they say that like 2 or 3 times where they're like, that's kind of suspicious.
Yeah.
For a guy that doesn't drink.
Right.
And they're just constantly pointing like, you should be suspicious of this guy.
Yeah. Multiple times. Yep.
And like you said, he gets outright in like season 5 or 6 or episode 5 or 6, just Jamie, go back to King's Landing.
Right in front of your face, dude. Like,
right
where did that come
face.
from? Yeah.
Like, how does that make you feel, Mike? Like, you didn't pick up on that? Nope.
I mean, I doubt anybody picked up on it the first time viewing it. It's the second time where you see like this dude was certainly with Robb.
Yep.
And really,
but barely. You don't put that together because he's so passable.
And the only time that you interact with him is when Robb is pretty much ignoring what this dude's telling him to do. And then later on, you get to now he's suddenly sitting down with Jaime Lannister and letting him go. So what the hell is going on there? how's that happening? Because he was with the Starks. It just I think you think like, okay, well, this guy's just following Kat's wishes of letting Jaime go. But I think the real thing is that Tywin got to him, and that's how Jaime is getting back to King's Landing, not Kat letting him go and him trying to respect her wishes or whatever.
And poor Kat, she really goes off the rails in this season where she's
Dude,
just like doing oddball things. Like she just lets Jaime go because she's just like, I just need my children back. And it's like, but how does that like work? If you just let Jaime go off into the ether, like magically they're just gonna let your daughters back that you don't even know for certain are there, because no one knows that Arya is out just murdering people.
Right. Yeah, they both think that she's back
in
in
a
King's
little
Landing.
shanking rampage through the woods. The turn for Bolton. Obviously, you get the fat wife silver thing, so he's basically a sellsword, right? But also he makes a comment about like, yeah, Rob pretty much like did the opposite of everything I advised him to do. So there's probably like some annoyance and like, you know what? You don't want to listen to what I'm trying to tell you? Well, I'll just murder your entire family.
Right.
And make some money on top. So like, how do you like those apples?
But even for me, like I was like, did he disagree with everything he said? And you kind of think back and it was like he's just in all these weird like 2-second scenes where he's like, we should do this, and Rob's like, we're gonna do the grand things.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And I want to point out Kat's freaking acting at the Red Wedding, because I think she was freaking great through the entire sequence, from her picking up the song all the way to ripping Walder Frey's wife from under the table, putting the knife up, and then the scream after Rob that whole scene's so fucking perfect, bro. Like that's one of the most perfect scenes ever, really.
So brutal too when they march Rob's wolf-headed body out, and Arya's just like, oh god.
Yeah.
But I always even the Hound has like some empathy there where he's just like, you don't need to see this. Like, let's just kind of like get out of here. Like shit's not good.
Shit's not good. Yeah.
And I feel bad for the Hound because he was like, I'm gonna return this like annoying Stark bitch, get paid, like get out of here, like fuck the king, like just move on with my life. But like he rolls in, he's like, God dang it.
Yeah. Worst timing.
In light of The Last of Us Part 1 news today, it's very Joel and Ellie like.
Yes, very. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I
think that covers us.
Yeah, and just at the very end of the season, like you get the weird like, I like the whole Stannis thing where he's like, Sir Davos, like you're damning the red god or whatever all the time, and he saved you.
Yeah, I like that. Yep.
And we get this letter where this is the last bit of like the Night Watch where they send out the ravens, right? Grand Maester there sends out all the ravens to everyone, and it just kind of slips into like the junk mail of Stannis's like castle. And old Davos, who just learned to read, finds it. He's like, this is semi-important. Clearly Stannis doesn't read any of his mail.
Yeah.
And then the red lady's just like, I expected even on the second watch, like, oh, she's just gonna like dismiss this. Like, oh no, she's like, throw it in the fire. Like, this is pretty legit.
This is the real deal. Yeah.
Everything Stannis that's been going on, I changed my mind. We must go north now. And he will be the victor. And this is where I kind of am like, man, lady, you suck. Like you're just kind of like shifting with the wind here, because
it does
damn
seem
Sir
like
Davos.
That. Yeah, it does seem like that, but
you are the rightful king, blah, 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 blah. Gets a little letter, throws it in the fire. She's like, you know what? The North, scary, spooky, danger. And on a dime just turns. Like, man, lady, you suck.
Yeah. I that's definitely an important moment moving forward. We totally breezed over that. But yeah, I don't take it as she's just moving with the wind. I think she's legitimately reading it, but I am a devout follower of the fire god. So don't ask me.
Well, why
because
didn't she pick up on
I'm
that
not gonna tell you
earlier?
the truth.
Well,
'Cause
also,
she didn't know
like,
about it.
there's going to be
It's
no
true.
throne if the White Walkers rampage through everything. So
Right.
hard to restore the
Important.
rightful king if there's no king
No
or
throne.
throne to
Yeah.
restore.
Yep.
But I still don't like her.
That's right.
Yeah,
She says.
Yeah.
Chad likes her though.
I do like her. Yes, devout follower, like I said.
Devout follower.
It was the magic baby that got me.
I'm
Oh,
a
yeah.
follower of the mother, so Team Cersei. The
Team
mother
Cersei,
of the
the
king,
mother, yeah.
or the mother of dragons.
Oh yeah.
I'll let
another
Yeah.
mother.
we'll let that pan out. I am just a devout follower of the seven of the mother,
The
So,
mother. Yeah.
whichever that turns out to be.
I can't stand Cersei. So
Mike,
be gone. What?
never mind. I know
Okay.
what your saddest loss of the season is. So besides Rob in that whole situation, who is the other sad loss? Because we had a lot of notable deaths in this season.
Oh, geez.
From
now you're
Mormont.
you're
to-
asking me to remember everyone who died.
I mean, I can list off everyone that
Okay,
died.
yeah. Rattle them off real quick, and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay. Let's see here. Notable deaths. Cat Craster, you said about him.
No, happy,
Commander Mormont.
sad.
Big sad.
Any of the Second Sons guys?
No,
Couldn't
Sad.
care less.
Could care less. You already said this. The warg of the
good riddance.
good
Yep.
riddance.
Hates him.
Rickard Karstark got his
Yeah.
head just like hacked
No,
off.
He's kind of a shitbag.
Yeah, he deserved it probably.
Yeah. I mean, it killed Rob
kids.
essentially.
Come on,
Yeah, but
killed some kids.
yeah.
All right.
Gross.
This is the saddest loss of the whole season. Greywind. The dog.
Gray. Oh, the dog. Yeah, yeah,
The-
yeah. That was
the-
pretty rough.
the
Yeah,
dire wolf.
honestly, I was
Rip.
gonna, use this time to slip in my Jennifer Love Hewitt joke, but that one actually does make me kind of sad.
Yeah,
Dude, that was
especially the yelps.
Yeah,
I don't like hearing animals yelp. I don't know what it
is
is.
the
Oh, no,
saddest
no,
part
I
of the
was-
Red Wedding.
I'm still talking about the person, not the dog.
Oh,
Oh,
the dire wolf. Get it right.
Yeah, the dire wolf was sad, but great value, Jennifer Love Hewitt. And that was the sad one.
That was the sad. I mean, that was pretty sad because it was her and her child,
Yeah,
yeah. It was
and
like
they were the
most
first
violent.
to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the most violent
Just
scene. And her
shanked.
scream. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go big sad on all three of those. That's the big. Yeah, the Red Wedding. You can't like Mormont. Sucks, but he kind of gets overshadowed by Rob and Kat and
yeah.
that whole slaughter.
Oh, so Walter Frey's wife, Rip. No one cares about her.
Nah,
She's got
Unfortunate
sliced.
casualty.
Yeah.
Unboard baby Ned Stark,
Yep, that's the
Sad.
Rob Stark,
sad.
Caitlin Stark, and Theon's favorite toy, Rip.
Theon's favorite toy. Oof. Yeah, that's a big sad for him, but
At
he's
least
a
he got to
shitbag,
use it
so-
two last times. How does that
Barely.
work? Is that
That was a
is that a
tease.
one or
I
a
don't think
two?
he even. Yeah, I mean, I think theoretically it would be 2, but he didn't even use it, so it's 0.
It was just a
Oh,
tease, I think. It was just
Yeah.
a foul
Because
trick.
remember, Ramsey came popping around the corner and stopped
he was just in the
that's
shadows,
true,
and he was
that's
just
true.
like,
Yeah,
"What's going on?" Oh, Ramsey Bolton.
I kind of wish Theon would be on this list just to be put out of his misery.
yeah,
He
True.
asked for that. That was like the last scene. Like he
Yeah.
was just like, "Kill me."
yeah.
Why would I do that?
I did really like the sausage scene. I thought that was freaking hilarious.
The sausage scene.
Yeah.
he's like
I-
wheels it around.
I definitely remember
I'm so
that.
sort of savage.
It opens up with just on a plate,
Yeah.
and he's just like eating it. He's like,
What?
the actor is
No.
great though.
Yeah, he's great.
What kind of person do you think I am?
because he's just shocked. He's like, "Oh, that's awkward."
Yeah.
It's so twisted.
Yeah. Ramsey's great, man. Actor wise. Shitbag. in the
Same
character.
thing with,
but
same thing with Joffrey. Like,
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. All the people that you hate, it's because their performances are so freaking good. You know,
Hmm.
yeah, they're just not empty hated characters. Like they're
It's
well
like-
acted hated characters.
yeah, it's like they did such a good job that if I saw either of them walking down the
Okay, I hate 'em.
sidewalk, I would walk away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hit him. I would
Mud
walk to
pie.
the other side of the screen. Mud pie.
Hot pie.
Rip Hot Pie, even though he's still alive.
He's
dead in
still
my heart.
alive.
Yeah,
Mike just like rip hot pie. Mike's like he's gonna die at some point. Like
Yeah, we know.
for no reason too.
Okay.
He's gonna
on to
choke on a
season
piece
4.
of his marvelous bread.
Marvelous bread.
Mike, what's gonna happen in season 4? If you watch it.
I don't know. The show's already over to me. I don't even know what's gonna happen now.
That's so weak. You mean you're not gonna watch it?
Oh, he's definitely
No,
gonna watch it.
I have to.
Good.
I have no
good,
choice. We
And I
still-
bet you he'll be pulled back into the show by like early season.
Oh yeah, I'm joking. I'm not joking about my saltiness, but I'm definitely gonna finish it because there's a lot left to be told.
Oh yeah.
Well, what do you hope will save you from your saltiness? So like what could wash away the saltiness where you're just like, we're at Red Wedding, it's just part of the Game of Thrones. You know what I mean?
If Rob resurrects
Yeah.
as a White Walker
No.
and just spends like 15 minutes eating Walder Frey.
I can't
So-
wait for
So Walter
season
Frey's
6.
death, is that what we're going with?
That'll be a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, so what I don't know. I honestly have no idea what to expect in season 4. So
Oh yeah, you don't.
I'm sure there will be more Tyrion stuff and more Dany stuff and more Arya
show.
stuff. Yeah. It's the characters that didn't die will probably do things. And hopefully the ones I like will survive. But I'm not going to name the ones I like because I don't want to put that
You don't want
out
to jinx it.
into
Yeah.
the ether and bring my worst dreams to life.
Don't you worry. None of the ones you hate will die.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or will they?
I do hope Theon dies. I just want Theon to die. I don't think he's going to, but I just want him to die.
Who
Poor
else do you
guy.
want to die? Like top 3, like who do you want to die?
Well, they're all unrealistic. I guess nothing's unrealistic when they killed the main characters. So,
So confusing, right?
There you
Joffrey,
Okay.
I want him to die.
Joffrey dies.
I want Theon to die out of mercy. That's a mercy death, not a
Mercy death. Theon dies. Okay.
yeah, not out of spite. Then
Mercy death. Sansa.
no. No, she's got Tyrion. Tyrion's gonna take care of her.
Sure.
Then I'd probably say, I don't know. I guess no one else. I mean, I hate Ramsay, but like, whatever.
Yeah.
Passable.
Yeah,
Passable.
whatever. Probably just those two are the main ones.
What about Jon Snow? Does he die? He got loaded full of arrows.
Why the heck would I want him to die?
Not want him to die, but is he gonna
You
die?
asked me who I wanted to die.
No, I'm asking you, is he gonna die?
No, he's not gonna die. It's Jon Snow.
Okay. He's got plot armor. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, like Ned and Rob. Okay.
no,
Okay.
he really does.
Yeah.
He's the chosen one.
Okay, that's a good question. So, who has plot armor? Top 3. Who has the plot armor? in
Jon
Game of Thrones?
Snow,
Jon Snow,
Tyrion,
Tyrion.
mainly just because he's too small to hit with. Jon Snow, Tyrion, and who's the Bran?
Bran.
Yeah, those 3. They don't die.
Okay.
And then if it had to add a 4th, it'd be Dany. But those 4 are the driving forces of the show.
Okay.
They will live on forever.
All
And
right.
Chad's smirking, so I know at least 1, maybe 2 of them die.
What, but based off of my smirk? I've been
Yep.
smirking the whole time you've been talking.
The great thing about this show is just like you can just like
I'm usually really good at predicting things in shows and movies, but I have no idea what to think about this.
Good.
Because the
Good.
entire point of the show just ended.
just ended. Show's over.
Yeah.
Dude, season
I love it.
6 finale. Pray. Love it. It's the best.
Yeah, dudes.
Wrap it. Cool. Well, I think we covered all the things we cared about. Obviously, if you care about something more, definitely comment on this video and just yell at us and just be like, you guys are idiots and you missed this entire plot line. Because I'm sure we missed something in all of this. But other than that, we will be back in 2 weeks to recap season 4. So that's exciting that in 2 weeks we will have seen a whole nother season. Chad's like, I've already watched it. You guys are slow.
I haven't. I'm waiting. I like the way I did it this time, where I waited to like the last 4 days of the waiting period to watch it. I felt a little fresher in the brain than I did season 2. So
yeah, I was doing an episode a night for like the past like 4 nights. So
yeah,
I felt that was good because I finished the last 20 minutes of the finale tonight.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So
Yep.
even though we talked about that for like 2 minutes, that was just Danny getting like praised by all her people.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, and check out all our stuff. Join the Discord. Mike in our
We do.
Discord. Soft launched our website.
Yeah.
Plug.
Get up in there.
Get in the Discord and then check out our website. In the future, it'll just be check out our website. But for now, get in there for the sneak peek to the website.
Got a lot of fun stuff going on. We've been revamping our Twitch page for streams, which has been fun. And yeah, the soft launch of the website, which is cool. But you got to join the Discord because it's not ready for the mass public eyes yet. It's getting close. But we do have 2 Answer the Boys from last season 2. I'll just read real quickly. Rachel says, it was season 2 of Game of Thrones where I really started to go, to Stark women are the ones I would follow. That remained true for me throughout the series. One of my biggest struggles with the whole series is the sexual violence that feels casual throughout. To this point in the series, Theon's treatment of his sister before he realized who she was really exemplified. Really exemplified the problematic attitude men in the series have towards women. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a product of the time, right?
Yeah.
So,
the not funny part of that is the sexual violence has yet to even peak.
Right. Yes. Also valid. Yeah.
Gross.
Sorry, Mike.
But I totally get it too, because a lot of those scenes make me feel really icky inside, Rachel. So you're not alone. Nugly Kid Joe Cross says, I think season 2 is probably one of my favorites. Seems like a lot of the main stories develop during this season, and a lot of characters go through some major changes, like death. I added that last part. There's too much to even go through for favorite moment. Blackwater, the Hound making a major face turn. How do you say his name? Jaqen Hagar.
Yes, the man.
Danny burning the people up. Robb Stark taking control. Tyrion and Bronn being awesome. And I really like the scenes with Arya and Tywin. Ygritte, White Walkers, too much. Yeah, sorry I forgot to read those last time, guys. Appreciate the input. And they're very valid points.
Yes. Yeah.
We didn't get any Answer the Boys.
Yeah, way to go, guys.
3, so big sad. We'll chalk that up to exactly how I felt about the Red Wedding.
So
anger and sadness. So
don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, let's do better, guys. I'm not. I guess I'm not even angry. I'm just disappointed. Sorry. I kid. But we're done. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please consider subscribing here. Go over to the Showboys Gaming YouTube channel. Subscribe over there. Join our Discord. Leave a comment on what you thought the most impactful moment of season 3 was. And if you felt like me, please comfort me. Please comfort me. Nick's pointing at Secret Lab. I'm not sure why, but he is. So thanks, Secret Lab, for making sure Nick's comfy in all of his podcasting and work. endeavors.
And wine drinking.
Yes. Shout out to Unnamed Wine Company for having a cool bottle that looks like a tree. Boggle family, please sponsor us. In the meantime, enjoy this amazing outro remix of the Game of Thrones theme song. We'll see you Monday for the newscast. Bye.
Monsters are dangerous, and just now kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king. Knowledge is power.
Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey, Meryn Trant, Tywin Lannister.
Your Grace.
Grandfather, tell me about the Targaryen girl and her dragons.
Your Grace.
Yeah,
That's that scene.
Yeah.
That's
Has
scene.
that always been in there?
Yep.
Oh wow. Where'd Mike
That's-
go? To get some Ritalin? He needs Ritalin. He needs Ritalin for these episodes. You watch him during the episode? Well, my goodness, bro. Like, stay off. You can stay off of Discord for like 2-3 hours, maybe, while we
Just
record.
going.
Just
going
going.
bananas. But yeah, that's the thing about this like whole entire like intro outro is there's so much baked into it. You're like,
There is.
wow,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, he did a good job with it for sure.
giveaway if you don't know, but fantastic. Shout out.